How's it hanging, everybody? Welcome back to Tag Team, Pokemon Trading Card Games premier podcasting trio. My name is Riley Hulbert, joined as always by my good friends, Mr. JW Kriewall and Mr. Andrew Mahone. Folks, it's been an arduous couple weeks on the tag team. We've had a bevy of Pokerus being passed around the group. We had JW stranded in Michigan, wrought with a bevy of technical issues last week. So, loyal listener, we're trying to make it up to you today. We're going to give you a longer one. And with that laid out, folks, how are we doing today?
Mega episode. Dude, I'm excited for it. This is going to cover everything that we missed in the last 3 weeks. And there's been a lot of news, which, you know, for better or worse, like we're just going to chug through it. So, yeah, as you said, Riley, I was in Michigan for the last couple of weeks. So here's the thing. Here's how it all went down. And don't ask me why anyone holds conferences in Michigan in January, but my wife had a work conference. It's technically not for her work, but it's like work adjacent. So it's like a diversity in classical music conference. It's called Sphinx. And they have their annual meeting in mid-January, and so mid-late January. And so we were up there and we were coming home, you know, planning to come home on Sunday. But as you guys know, there was the Winter Storm Fern that basically was a band all the way from like the Midwest and like, you know, the Texas area, like kind of that all the way up through basically to New England, right up into that, you know, New York City, Boston zone. And so we got caught right in that. So we were supposed to fly out on Sunday of last week. That got canceled. So we're like, okay, that's fine. The conference comped us another hotel room. So we're like, that's fine. We'll just leave Monday. Monday comes around. Flight's canceled again. Okay, that's fine. We'll just like get our own hotel and then we'll fly out on Tuesday. And then Tuesday comes around and we're at the airport. Literally, like, we have all of our luggage checked in. We're at the airport gate. Canceled. And we're like, oh my gosh. Okay. We've already taken 2 days off work. Like, we have kids that we're, like, managing for those 2 days in a hotel room, mind you. Like, there's not a lot to do in Detroit in January. And so we're like, you know what? Let's just rent a car. We'll stay the rest of the week up with my parents. And we'll figure it out next weekend, right? Because at this point, we're like, are we even going to make it back? You know, are we going to have to like, if our flight gets canceled on Saturday, you know, if our flight gets canceled next Saturday, our legit backup plan was just to rent a car from Detroit and drive to New Jersey, which is like a 10-hour drive. And like with 2 kids, just like not what you want to be doing. Anyway, the grandparents got a little extra time with the kids. And we flew back on Saturday. Oh, and then there was one other fun detail that we're still going through. You can be praying for this. We had issues with the rental car. So we drove a rental car up to my parents' house. And then the next day, when we go to turn it on in the morning, it just does not start. And so if you've ever had a rental car and you've ever had like a problem with it, my understanding is that, yeah, of course they need to like figure out like who's at fault, right? Like if you've tampered with the car, they need to figure that out, of course. And then they can hold someone liable for that. But it was just, you know, we tried to turn it on and it got stuck in the accessory mode and it wasn't registering that it was in park. So we couldn't actually shut it off. And then it wouldn't start like the turnover. So it wouldn't actually turn the car on. And anyway, we had it towed away and we're still not sure. Like they towed it to a dealership and the dealership hasn't made a determination on what happened to the car. So we're like in limbo with that, where we could just get totally screwed by the dealership. And they say like, oh yeah, they did something to the car and we just have no idea. But yeah, the rental car was the car company like didn't even offer like, hey, we'll get a new contract, right? We'll get you a new contract for a new car. Like that wasn't even on the table. It was just like, oh, we got to wait until we hear back from the dealership on what happened to the car. And that's been 5 days now. So it's a whole thing. Anyway, I'm back. I'm back in
Jeez.
beautiful New Jersey, baby.
I bet New Jersey feels good right now.
You know what? I said I have never been more thankful to be in this godforsaken state. Walking in my 2-bedroom apartment, I was like, yeah, this feels like home.
This is the life. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
No, I'm just kidding. I love New Jersey. I love New Jersey. Always loved it.
We know you do. Yeah, you've been a day one Jersey head.
Exactly. You guys get it.
Yeah, you must love it. You're still there, so yeah.
That's facts. Yep. Can't get out. Anyway, how you doing, Andrew?
Yeah, I'm good. It's been a couple of weeks for sure. I think I got sick coming home from Toronto. Just had like a nasty week that week. Decided to repaint my entire studio. Not like the walls that were professionally painted, but like all the walls that were like not painted. I got some nice color up on those. Studio looks great. I was inspired by the fact that I filmed my new Cube video, which I just released, the Team Rocket Cube video. I filmed that in like a back corner of my studio, and there was like a wall back there that was plain white. And I was like, you know what? This whole studio should just be painted, because like, who knows what corner of my studio I'm going to film in, or like decide that, this would be a good spot to do something creative. And I just, I want it to all look nice. So I decided to take that time that I was sick and kind of just finish kind of tightening up some areas of the studio that I wanted to look nicer, and really happy with it now. Just felt like a good time to do that. Just do something physical, right? Because I haven't been able to like work out. I'm not doing the gym anymore because like I decided that I could just run, right? So I like canceled my gym membership. I'm like, I'm not going enough. Like, that's fine. I was like, 2026, it's my year of running. I want to run a lot more. And like, I have pretty high tolerance for like weather that I'll run in. I mean, I went to college in northwestern Pennsylvania and like, just south of Erie, and I ran all winter in college, right? Like, I'll run in some crap. But this month has been like something else.
So devious, man. So devious.
Like really bad. Not just like on the snow front, but also like I wake up and it's like -8. And I'm like,
yeah, wind
okay,
chill too. Yeah.
probably not running today, like, or the next day, or any day this week.
You guys have a treadmill in your basement, right?
We do, and I hate the treadmill.
Yeah. I actually really like the treadmill. That's funny. It's like it forces.
I have it for this. I have it for this reason, though. I do. I have it for this reason.
Yeah.
But I used to have a TV like down there where I could like watch YouTube videos while I jogged, and I had just like taken the TV to my studio because I was like, I'm like on my running outside stuff now. But like this last month, like absolutely not. So I finally brought the TV back. I got it plugged in again. Like I'm gonna be hitting the treadmill. I kind of was like holding off. I had like bull crap had been stacked up on my treadmill, as it does in the summer, right? Because I don't use it at all in the summer. So like over the last summer, like more baby crap has gone into my basement, and as more baby crap has been accumulated and we need storage space for it, it inevitably ended up on the treadmill. And yeah, so I finally got the treadmill cleared back off, and I will be using it until it gets nicer out. Because I want to get back on my grind. I haven't run probably in like, since the weather really got really atrocious. So probably since like Christmas or so. New Year, right around there.
2026 is the year of running. You haven't even ran, bro.
Dude, we got 11 months left. 11 months. That's a lot of months. January, don't care. I got COVID. Like, I've probably had COVID. I was sick, like, I don't know. January was scuffed. We're re-rolling. February, things are starting.
That's where it's at. Yeah. February is where it's at.
Yeah, for sure.
Re-roll.
How about you, brother?
I feel that. Yeah, after Toronto, I was doing well for a couple days, and then I got Pokerus as well, which I just got to say, I knew I was going to get Pokerus because when we were walking through the lines, the major crowd situation to get between your tables, I saw multiple times like people coughing straight into that crowd, and I just knew there's no way I make it a week at home without starting to feel sick. And so I started feeling sick, and that was a huge bummer. And I got serious man flu as well, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And then my fiance got sick the following week as well. We tried our best to like stay in separate spaces and not infect each other, but still happened. And she was feeling sick and miserable. So it was just kind of like a sad couple of weeks here in the Hulbert house, but that's fine. A lot of Switch gaming. That's what we kind of filled our sick, extremely cold days with. And I feel bad because I've been on like the workout hustle for basically since Christmas. I've been working out every single day.
Yeah.
Which I kind of took a pause when I was like bedridden. So I missed like a week and a half after being like super on it, which I feel like is a bummer, but also understandable. So I'm not feeling too bad about it, but is what it is. It's still freaking cold as crap here in Madison, at least. But
yeah, well,
it's like 30 degrees warmer than it was the other day.
The hard thing in Jersey, this probably doesn't apply to you guys. There's so much space where you are at, but we have these just giant snow drifts, right? Because like, where are you going to put the snow in an urban setting? They just had to like pile it up. So like, there's no street parking because it's all snow. And like you're in the if your neighbor doesn't, or I guess if you don't, we weren't here for the whole week, and now it's pretty much impossible to shovel it out. But if you don't shovel the full extent of your driveway, like we're kind of butting up against the apartment complex to the right, and there's like, you're sidling sideways to get out of your car because there's a snowbank.
That's tough.
That's right there. So.
Yeah, I feel like the nice thing about like a more suburban apartment is, they're clearing out the whole parking lot like every day. And so the parking spaces are nice. Though I park my car outside right now, and it is absurd to like those couple minutes when you're like waiting for your car to heat up and scraping off the ice. Like they're so unpleasant, man. It's
well, I've always said there's no such thing as bad weather, only bad clothing.
I mean, to an extent, right? Like I have a nice jacket, I wear sweaters and stuff, but it's still cold. Like bearable to be outside for a few minutes, but it's still cold.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard this take too, JW, and I find myself agreeing with that. It's like when I'm mad to be outside, I could just be dressed more appropriately, and I would probably be chilling, right? But there's toil in getting that prepared to go outside, which is why you constantly go outside underprepared for the situation. You're like, I won't be outside that long. Eventually I will be in my warm office, and that'll be fine. So you walk outside, and it's like -5 degrees outside. You walk out with like a hoodie. Like,
I'm not walking out with a hoodie. Don't put that evil on me.
I've done it for sure. I've done it. Like there's time. Like what if I'm going, like for instance, I went to bring the trash cans up, and it's like, yeah, bro, I ain't putting on all that clothes to go take the trash cans up, like, but I'm going to be.
The worst for me is the gloves. The worst for me is the glove. Because the gloves like restrict your movement, you don't have full fingy access when you're in those gloves.
Yeah, dude, you don't need full finger access when it's like -degrees outside. What are you manipulating? Just put the hands on the wheel. I got mittens in my car. That's what I got. I got whole mittens. I don't even need.
I feel like I'd almost rather have mittens because there's no illusion of what
I used to have.
What's going on?
I've lost a couple of pairs of gloves, and this was one of the ones that I really miss the most. But I used to have mittens, but they had the flaps, so you could use your digits, right? The ends of your fingers. Big. I know that was quite nice, and I lost those. I got a new pair this weekend from my father. That are just like kind of industrial grade outside gloves. Like I do not feel the cold at all on these gloves when I wear them outside. They are beautiful.
See, my gloves are nice. It's just the thing that freaking annoys me the most is the stupid finger pads they put on these dang gloves that allegedly allow you to like use your phone in any capacity. Like
that's a lot.
This is a fraud. This is a fraudulent thing that you're advertising.
Just disconnect.
Now that's a
phone,
conspiracy
dude. Disconnect. Theory. Dude, our conspiracy episode is next week, dude.
Yeah, come on. We talked about this. No, it's like
I'm
going in my car, like I plug in my phone, I want to put on like some music or something, and I like can't even like click on my dang thing. It's not like I'm
tough, man.
scrolling. Like,
Yeah. You have to like
This
use your
man
car
wants to be
without
scrolling going down the
any
highway.
entertainment. Yeah.
no, I'm not a scroller not on the highway. That's for sure. I have strict social media limits on my phones. We've been talking about
That's good. That's good. I know we have. Yeah. No, I unfortunately I got sucked right back into freaking Twitter after all the crap happening in Minneapolis, and oh my God, yeah, dude, just all that stuff. It's just a horrible time to be a human being right now. Just everything going on in the United States. It's just every day I wake up and I'm just like, this is horrible. This country's it's a mess. It's a mess, bro. It's a mess.
No.
It is a mess.
It's a
But,
mess,
you know,
but I love her.
We're talking about Pokemon cards, so that's what we're here.
That's
We're
right.
Here to,
That's right.
We're here to put
No,
all that.
no one wants to hear our political
all that
takes.
stuff.
right?
All that stuff. We don't need to worry about all that. We're talking about Pokemon cards. You know,
The Pokemans,
Pokemon
for
cards.
sure.
The great escape.
So true. So it's been a couple weeks. We do have plenty to talk about. We know you all are invested in our Toronto runs, and so we did want to give you all a recap of our experiences in Toronto, since we did kind of hype Toronto up for a long time in the lead up. We'll do some mailbag as well, read through some of our previous comments, talk about the rule changes that are active as of the end of January in Play Pokemon events.
Yep.
And then we'll do a little bit of previewing of things to come. So EUIC, the new Ascended Heroes format, which will not be legal for EUIC. And then as well, like some forward thinking of rotation, which is kind of our next big thing in the Pokemon TCG after Ascended Heroes. So lots and lots of fun stuff going on today. And we'll start off just with a quick pass at the mailbag. What do we say?
Shall we?
Let's do it.
Okay. Let's see. What did I really enjoy? Oh, yes. I like these comments. I like when people give the Pokemon content starts at comments, because I do feel like a core part of this podcast is just us riffing. And so this from Caleb says cat content starts at 5812, which is like a fun kind of play off of that. So shout out to
And I have to imagine
Caleb.
it's when my cat like jumped out of my chair or something. That's
Yeah, that
referring
seems
to.
likely. And then just underneath Xenu with the first 44 minutes is all I cared about, which from the last episode was I think just a lot of the banter. Let's see. Wait, was this the last? This was the last episode? Hold up. That was the last episode. That's crazy. All right.
Dude,
Yeah, it's
it's
been a minute, bro.
18 days, bro.
Well, okay, so it is weird. We should pull back the curtain a little bit and say that we did actually record an episode last week. The problem was that I had a mobile setup and it just it was not conducive for
JW sent me in
what
the
we needed to
trenches
do.
for hours trying
I
to
know,
clean this up.
I know.
Didn't even post it.
I know.
Ugh.
Well, I think we all agreed that it probably wasn't to our standard,
No.
It wasn't to our standard.
right?
No,
I mean,
with
we
a
have
podcast
standards
that's been
here.
going this long. We do. With a podcast that's been going this long, it's like you don't put our dear listeners through that. You know, the scuffed mic stuff, you know, the sloppy video, that we expect better. And
Right,
so do they.
right. Yeah,
So,
exactly.
We are
As they
doubling
should.
it up,
They should.
doubling it up this week with an extra long pod.
Yep. I do want to say a lot of praise for me in these comments. Love JW's storytelling. JW tells a story like a retiree talking to his grandkids, and I love it. The Azuki TCG arc is actually the best part of the podcast. So I'm just getting a lot of main character energy from the comments. So really appreciate it, guys.
Now, unfortunately, the Azuki arc is over, so you will
Yes.
need to find a new grift to hop on, JW.
Yeah, well, and
So-
Patty says, can't wait to see JW at the Illustrials Invitational. Which
there you go.
is somewhat ironic because
Shut
I
up.
do have on the wall here an Illustrials box that I just never got around to opening. So Maybe one day. Maybe we could like draft it. That would be kind of fun. Draft a Lestral sometime.
Draft an Lestral. Oh.
Yes.
I think I'm good, bro.
Oh boy.
Yeah. For the win,
I think I'm gonna limit you to like one grift TCG per year for sure. That's like not more than a once a year arc, dude. You can't be doing multiple grift TCGs a year.
No,
we're not
they're
following
not grifts,
your
dude.
adventures
They're
to
not
like
grifts,
dig into
bro.
every grift, dude. The Lustrals is literally a drives grift, bro.
No, it's legit. He's trying to craft a community.
Yeah,
Sounds suspiciously similar to Azuki if you think about it.
Yeah,
There's
no,
elemental
it's a
creatures
community driven
where you
trading
form a
card game, bro.
community.
It's a community driven
Yes.
trading card game, bro. You don't understand.
right. Unlike all those other trading card games, which are totally not community driven.
Well,
right?
they're not
that would
focusing.
differentiate
They're not
like
focused
crazy.
for this community. You don't understand. This is very community focused. You know.
It's driven by the Elestrals community. Is the difference. There's not
Exactly.
another TCG for the Elestrals community.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. You get it. So, I really like JW the person, but I really appreciate JW the character. That's fair.
Dude, the amount of socks
there.
that you have is crazy, JW. You have so many socks.
Sock accounts? Is that what you're implying?
Yes, bro. Yeah.
Yes.
Is that what
Yes,
you're
bro.
implying?
I
Hey,
am
save the
implying that you were
conspiracy for
manipulating the
next
comments.
week. Save the conspiracy theories for next week, bro.
All right, JW sock accounts that he
Oh my
uses
goodness.
to create his own mailbag comments praising
You're
himself.
crazy.
Yeah, that's
You're crazy.
top of my conspiracy list for sure.
Let's see. It sounds like the crypto trip was totally existential. Yeah, absolutely. People are liking the $30 Uber from LAX. I don't know.
Yes,
Have you guys
like you can expect like $80 from LAX.
Yeah, dude.
really?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, well, I just must have caught it on the right day then. I was like $30
The
to
hack,
go.
the low
It was
key
like
hack
3
for
miles or
LAX.
something.
The hack from LAX is to take the rental car shuttle to one of the off-site rental car lots and Uber from there to wherever you're actually trying to go.
Well, I didn't know the tech. We took a lot of Ubers in
That is-
Detroit, and they were not that expensive.
That's the Midwest Uber.
Yeah. I mean, the ones in Newark are pretty expensive, but you're also like to get from our place to the airport. That's about 15 minutes. So I'm like $30 for 15 minutes. That's maybe a deal, you know. Going like 6 miles or something. It's not bad. 6 miles for $30.
Yeah, LAX is like insanely sprawling though, and I think they have like fees to go through LAX in the first place
Oh, really?
as an Uber driver.
Interesting.
Something like that. Yeah, I think.
Oh, that's fascinating.
I don't know. Maybe I'm spreading misinformation, but like LAX, and it's also just the demand is so high, right? There's so many people going to and from LAX, and there's so much traffic. So like, yeah, the prices just go crazy.
Interesting. All right. Well, thank you so much for all of our commenters on YouTube this week. Appreciate that. If you're enjoying what we do here, please make sure to like and subscribe. If you're an audio only listener, do note that we have a YouTube, so go check that out if you'd like. But let's move on over to Toronto. That's kind of the big, we're closing out that arc, right? We were all in Toronto for the Toronto Regional Championships, and I think we should give everyone the rundown on what happened.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
dude.
so. Andrew, do you want to kick us off with your Toronto experience?
Yeah, man. I played Goldengo, which is the deck I'd been prepping to play for over a month, but I definitely was getting cold feet in the 48 hours leading up to the event. Testing was going bad. And I felt like there were just a lot of games where I wasn't able to get the win. I mean, it was a lot of games where it was like I was close, or there's things weren't going right, or I felt heavily teched against, like the even the point where like the Dragapult matchup wasn't feeling great. which is crazy because like that's supposed to be one of your good ones for sure. And then like I was finding ways to lose to Zoroark. I mean, obviously they were heavily teched for Goldengo with the double Toad Scroll situation, but like that wasn't feeling good because that was kind of like a hot tech, that was gaining traction in like the final week leading up to Toronto. The increase, I mean, just tons of Charizard. You're playing against Charizard all the time. Charizard did kind of like really start to feel like the hotness in like the week or two leading up to Toronto. So all those factors kind of combined to make Goldengo. Like in my gut, I knew Goldengo didn't feel like the best play, but it was the play that I was kind of like locked in on. So it was just like, all right, we're just going to try and run the gauntlet then. I'm confident enough in my play, my ability to pilot the deck that like, if things go right, like I could certainly make a deep run with it. But like I wasn't feeling like it was the best call for the event. And that pretty much just ended up coming to fruition. I started 2-0, beat a Goldengo mirror, and I beat a Charizard deck, which I feel like the Charizard matchup, I mean, is like pretty close to even. It's just one of those, like, if they start the trade, they're going to win. If you start the trade, you can win. So kind of just like whoever gets the first knockout. And there's things that they can do, and there's things that you can do. It just kind of comes down to, how it goes. So I beat Charizard and Goldengo, but then I played against Alakazam at 2-0, and that's just like, you really don't want to see the Alakazam deck as Goldengo, but I really believe that you can beat it, right? It's not like an auto loss, but it's a bad matchup, but it's not an auto loss, right? Like I did beat my Goldengo opponent in one game. Game one, actually, I was very close to winning. I just needed to hit boss on one additional turn in order to out-trade them and be able to like finish the game with Goldengo, be ahead enough to be able to win the game with Goldengo at the end without losing. That's kind of like what you have to do. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then in game two, I was able to do that and ended up winning. And then in game three, my opponent just got the turn 2 knockout with Alakazam and was able to just string things like every single turn after that. And if they get the turn 2 knockout with Alakazam and don't miss a beat after that, it's like lights out. I mean, there's literally nothing you can do about that. Your single prize attackers as Goldengo can't compete with like 140 hit point Alakazam or whatever the heck it is, right? So, yeah, took an L to Alakazam. That was tough, but it was like, all right, that's fine. That's just like, it's bad beats, whatever. Then I played against Zoroark Toad Scroll, and that was like not great. I should have tied that matchup. Game one took just too long, and it was very close, and it came down to 1-1 prize card, and kind of like the whole matchup was like hinging on that game one. And both me and my opponent were Iono'd to like a 1-card hand at the end of the game, and it just was going to come down to like who ended up drawing into their win condition. And my opponent found the boss first, so they ended up winning after a couple of turns of trying to draw into our win conditions at the end of a long game one. And then game two, I had 1 prize left to my opponent's 6. And like, there's no +3 turns, so, I couldn't find my win condition off an Iono to 1 on the final turn of time. And we didn't get any other turns, so that was that. Which will be a thing that we address later on in the app, because that's a new rule change that is coming up.
If only
so,
you were a couple weeks later.
That's going to be a new thing. Yes. That's fine. So changes on the horizon in that department. And then, so a record of 2-2, you kind of get to that point where you're like, yeah, it's really not my day. Whatever. I am, I'm kind of like mentally checked out, but also I'm like, anything could happen. I mean, I could go on a heater. I felt like I was playing well, but I wasn't. At 2-2, you're like not expecting to have a deep run. But like I was playing well, and I was like, I'm not giving up, because like I could easily just hit some good matchups. I'm playing tight and just like rattle off 5 wins. Like I could do that. That would be whatever. I could. And I did rattle off 2 wins. Played against a Kangaskhan deck, and then I played against a Charizard, I think. And then
it's on the screen, brother.
Oh, it's on the screen. Let me see. What did I play against? It was
Sam
Charizard.
D.
Yeah, it was Charizard.
Yeah.
Yes, Charizard. Yes, it was Charizard. And then my luck against Charizard ran out, and my round 7 opponent, I mean, everything just went great. They were able to open Trop Ghost game 1, And when they open Tropicos going first to get a full setup behind it, it's like, I basically have to get the turn 1 Gust knockout with Solrock in order to initiate the trade. And that's asking a lot of, like,
that's tough.
The Gold
It's possible, it's doable, but yeah, it's tough.
That ain't happening with a high likelihood, right? Like, no, I could get the turn 1 knockout with Solrock many games.
Bruh.
Yes.
Bruh.
Yeah, I mean, but, like, not a high likelihood. You don't get that, like, not at a high likelihood.
You're playing Secret Box?
Say, like,
bro, I get that, like, every time.
Turn 1 boss knock. You gotta be kidding me, bro. No, you know how many combinations of cards you could open in that freaking hand? Are you kidding me, bro? Absolutely not. You could get it. I would say maybe 25% of games. That's 1 in 4. That is often, but like not like a winning amount often. Like if I had to like hedge all my bets
have you ever tried to get both Solrock and Lunatone out and then Lunar Cycle, and it actually allows you to see more cards during your turn? It's actually super good.
But like what if you don't have that, like that.
Okay,
clearly
right,
haven't played enough
yeah.
Goldango. Sometimes you just don't have that. You just don't.
Bro, I
have
have played a lot of Goldango, bro.
Sometimes you open the stupid Cramorant, dude. There's just a whole bunch of bullcrap that happens all the time.
There's a lot of stinky like openers that at least wouldn't enable boss. A lot of you have to Arvin to start the game.
You have to Arvin a lot. Yeah, you do. So then, and that is one of the weaknesses of not playing the Prime Catcher build, right? Is that like the Prime Catcher build does get that turn 1 Gust knockout with like a slight more frequency than the Secret Box version does, because you can Arvin for Prime, I guess, right?
Yeah.
If you happen to have the other pieces.
Yeah, but then you need Solrock and Lunatone and Fighting and Arvin.
I know.
I
know. Yeah.
It's not that much more often, I feel like.
No, it's not that much, but I think it is slightly more. I would say slightly more, for sure. And then game 2, I choose to go first, and they just open Klefki going second. Lone Klefki.
Body.
And I'm like, cool. This is horrendous. I can't like the worst case scenario. And then but I'm still able to initiate the trade. I'm able to like, pull a rabbit out of a hat. I get things going on turn 2. I'm chasing down Charmanders, right? Like lone Charmander situation, spawn camping a little bit. But then it comes down to the end of the game. I get Iono to 2. I have a Lunar Cycle. I have a Flip the Script, and I have a Goldango EX draw for 2. So I'm going to get to draw 8 cards off an Iono to 2. And all I have to do is find Double Superior. So like Double Superior or Superior Arvin. There are multiple Arvin in my deck. There are 3 Superior in my deck. And my deck is not that big. And I'm drawing 8 cards, and I just whiff it. So like, it's just like, whatever, dude. I guess I would. It's like a 3 Superior in like a 6-card deck type of deal. You're like,
ouchie.
Yup, that's just beast, You're like, whatever, dude. So not great, but I dropped it at 4 and 3. Yeah. And that's just it. It's all good. I am hungry to kind of get back on the grind. I'm streaming more now. I'm going to be playing a little bit more TCG Live. I'm streaming daytime slots on Wednesdays and Fridays now. Wednesdays will sometimes be tabletop testing with like Jesse and stuff, maybe. But then Fridays are going to be like a TCG Live kind of grind stream just to like get more reps in with decks. I've got my calendar marked with like League Cups and kind of excited, energized for post-rotation format. And I'm going to be trying to sign up for Indianapolis too. So this year, looking forward to getting to play a little bit more, get on the grind a little bit more, get back into top tier shape. And really I wasn't dismayed or anything by Toronto. I felt like I played fine. Just, things didn't buff out, and I wasn't necessarily like as deep in this current format as I could have been to get to really pivot to anything else when I was like really starting to like not feel like Goldango was going to be the it call for Toronto.
Yeah, I mean, that's all you can do, right? Is you got to play the deck that you're confident with, and I think ultimately that's probably the right choice for you, even if it didn't work out. That's the thing too, the best players in the game will have tournaments that they whiff playing the decks that they're the most confident in. That's just the natural. So
somebody
of a card game.
Somebody has to lose. Right?
Somebody has to lose, right? Every single game, someone has to lose, and like sometimes it's the player with the better deck or the better overall gameplay. It just is what it is. That's the variance is part of it. So, well, I think you fought well, Andrew, and I'm excited to see you return to the grind. For listeners who've been tuning in to our Toronto prep, it should hopefully come as no surprise that JW and I both played a Gardevoir deck. We played the same 60 of the straight Gardevoir build. And you've been listening for a while. That's hopefully also not a surprise, like that kind of style of build. I've been kind of negative on the Jellicent from the get. I've always felt more comfortable playing a more streamlined Gardevoir build without the Jellicent. Pretty much ever since LAIC when I started testing Gardevoir. And that certainly held true in the lead up to Toronto and at Toronto as well. So JB has the list on screen right now. It's very similar to the Henry Chow style of list, notably with the Lux Cape. The one change we made from the initial list that Henry Chow shared, and I think we're 2 cards off of Henry Chow's final list, is we actually do play a Drifloon instead of the second counter catcher. And our logic behind the Drifloon alongside the Lux Cape. So the logic with the Lux Cape is it kind of can consolidate your Screamtail plus Lux Cape slot into what would otherwise be a Drifloon plus a Bravery.
Yeah. Okay, sorry.
No. Screamtail plus Lux Cape is like equivalent to a Bravery Charm Drifloon.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So like if you're gonna play 2 tools anyway, you can save the Drifloon slot by playing the Lux Cape. That's basically the idea for most people who played the Lux Cape. You know, if you peer through most of the lists, they're not playing a Drifloon at all, let alone with the Lux Cape. But JD and I took it a different angle. We thought that the Drifloon added a lot of value into some of those high HP matchups, you know, thinking the Zoroark, the Kangaskhans, the Charizards, and even Goldango. And with the Lux Cape, you can do some really fun stuff as well. Like, not only does it unlock your Screamtail for really big snipes, but certainly I had moments where I could power up a Drifloon and get it to a place where my opponent can't like sneak the easy knockout, basically. So you couldn't weave in the Soul Rock to KO it, or you couldn't move damage off a Monkey Dory to KO it because the Lux Cape gave it that extra like bulk and survivability that you had to hit it with a 2-prizer, which then you could respond with like a second Drifloon, for example, by going Stretcher, Bravery Charm. That's just an Arven. That's literally a 2-card combo you get entirely from an Arven. So I really enjoyed the Drifloon. JW, I know you did as well. And I felt really, really confident with this list going into the tournament. This is what we had tested in the days leading up to the tournament. It felt really good, really smooth, and I think it played that way too. Just to go over my personal run. So I started my day off by playing 2 dark decks, 3 actually, back to back. Grimmsnarl, a Zoroark, and a Charizard. That's kind of what I expected playing Gardevoir, and I'd even told my fiance Jill before I left for Toronto, you know, I'm playing the deck in the room that everyone wants to beat. Like if they're playing a dark type deck, they're doing it specifically with the intention of like, I think this deck is good into Gardevoir, and hopefully it's acceptable into everything else. You know, that's like the whole reason people are playing these decks. But I actually felt pretty good in those matchups. Grimmsnarl, I kind of wiped them off the board like Frillish, the single Frillish, just locking them out for long enough that I could establish a really strong presence and sweep the game. And the Zoroark matchup I actually think is extremely favorable when you play a Drifloon. I'd even had a chance to talk to Liam Halliburton at the event, who's kind of like the premier Zoroark head. And he echoed the sentiment that with the Drifloon, it's extremely difficult to beat for the Zoroark decks as they're built right now. So I felt really good after my first 2 rounds in the tournament. You know, very dominant victories against what kind of like on paper are difficult matchups just by virtue of the dark types. In practice, I don't think it quite works out that way, but like that, again, that's the reason people are playing these decks. I think ultimately like my downfall at Toronto, more so than like my turn over turn gameplay actions, was just managing time effectively. I feel like playing Gardevoir as much as I did going into the tournament was like kind of a blessing and a curse for me, because I did it all online pretty much, save for like 1 League Cup where I played Guardy Jelly. And I think what that ended up doing was creating this like sense of I could see the route to win every single game and like exactly how I would win it. And sometimes I would go a little too far, I think, down routes that I probably should have given up on.
Yeah.
And I think also like my turn over turn like action speed probably was a little slower than I would have hoped for. Like, I think I kept reasonable pace of play, like not in a way that a judge would ever be called on me, but more in like I could have tightened up my actions and sped them up so I would afford myself more time over the games. So I think that was kind of the weakness of my preparation strategy, though I don't know if it was like entirely avoidable because I don't really have like a local testing sphere that I would have slung cards in person with, and I don't really like to play too many games the night before a tournament because it just makes me antsy.
I'm with you.
So
100%.
So anyway, I ended up tying round 3 against a Charizard, and all 3 of my ties, ignoring my ID in round 14, were the exact same in that I lost a long game 1, more or less the same. Like the games might have flipped, but there was a long game 1, typically a medium length game 2, and then we weren't even like starting game 3 when time was called. So it was just like, there's no, like, nothing to be done. Like, this is just a tie. We haven't even laid out our Pokemon yet type of thing. So all 3 of my ties were kind of like that. I think I could have, particularly in round 3, I think is the one I had the most opportunity to just scoop a game sooner and give myself a game 3. Round 9, I feel, was just going to be a tie with the way it flowed in the Gardevoir. In round 7, I think I could have maybe also scooped a game. Anyway, so tied to Charizard, still 3 Dark decks going 2-0-1. I felt pretty good with that situation. And I also feel like the straight Charizard was in my testing was feeling more difficult than like the Noctowl Charizard, with the TM Evos and the heavy Noctowl, the heavy Pidgeot.
Yeah.
And the Dusknoir. Like, that was really difficult in my experience. So I was really happy to get a tie actually in that matchup. I ended up losing to a Dragapult right afterwards, which felt really bad because that was what felt like my best matchup in testing. Double TM Evo, double Kirlia. Like, you're getting Kirlias out a lot of games and evolving those into Guardy. But both of those, this was like a 10-minute series where I like basically just didn't bench anything. And I don't think any deck is better at punishing that like immediately than Dragapult. If you don't get your basics down, you're pretty much locked out of all your outs immediately when they start Badooing you.
Yeah.
So that's just is what it is. And then I go on a nice little tear from there. I smoothly beat a Dragapult and an Alakazam. Round 7 was kind of unfortunate. It was a similar situation where we had a really long game 1 that I narrowly lost. There was something like Iono to 2, and he needed to whiff a boss after burning a couple, and he hits it off the 1 trade that he has or something like that. Like something in that kind of sphere where it was like the possibility was there that I could just win the next turn. Unfortunately, he hits it, and then I had a really slow start. That was really the deal breaker, is I couldn't really get established in that game until a little too late. Game 2, I kind of just run him off the board with the Drifloon. He does have a chance to potentially come back if I whiff on my own end, but I'm able to just keep the attackers flowing and ultimately win that game. And then we're done. Like, time was called. I had just won game 2. And I have kind of an awkward situation. I don't want to like drag my opponent too hard, but like I got to tell it like it is at the same time. So we are now both 4-1-1 going into round 7. You need to have a record of 5-2-1 to make phase 2. Now, what that means is really only a win or loss directly plays into your ability to make phase 2 at this point. Like a tie, if you tie both these last 2 rounds, it does nothing. And you still need to win your last round if you tie round 7, right? That's kind of and that's what's going on all the time at these tables at this stage of a tournament, is like you're figuring out gentlemen's agreements. You're trying to figure out a way to like determine winners and minimize ties. A lot of people will start these games and be like, and try and sit down at the table and like establish that as soon as they sit down. For me, at this stage of the tournament though, and I've always been a big advocate of this, I don't really care about phase 2 or not. These are one continuous tournament. You're not qualifying for phase 2 and then playing in a different tournament in phase 2. This is one event, And so you gotta like think of it as one event. And I don't really know if my opponent was thinking of it as one event. He really tried to, and basically without explicitly asking for it, he asked me to concede the match. He made like pouty faces and was saying about how like, a tie doesn't really serve either of us here. And I calmly responded. Well, first I asked if he was asking me to concede, to which he made a pouty face. And then I explained how, first off, I don't think your matchup's good enough to like warrant this. Maybe if you're playing like some insane 100-0 matchup, but even then you lost game 2. So I kind of outskilled you there. So I deserve the match point. But also like there's nothing we can use to determine this. There's literally no board state or prizes or anything. Like we had played 2 complete games.
Yeah.
And that's it. I want this match point. If you want to concede to me, I guess you can. But like, I want this match point so I can take it forward into phase 2 because I'm going to win this next round. And that match point's going to be a difference maker between prizing or top 8 or whatever. And it didn't end up like into an argument or anything. Basically, I just laid that out and signed the match slip as a tie, and that was that.
Yeah.
But like, he was clearly very upset, and like, I'm sure he like texted his group chat about how his scummy opponent like denied him the win that he totally deserved or whatever. But yeah, I mean, that just really rubs me the wrong way. Like this culture of like trying to game out concessions out of people constantly, like especially in this kind of situation, like there's literally nothing for you to work on here. So that just really annoyed me more than anything. And then I crushed my poor Dragapult opponent in round 8. I just completely destroyed. so yeah, that is what it is. Round 9 is played in day 1.
Yeah.
But it's the first round of phase 2. It was a Gardevoir mirror. Very similar list, but not identical. It was just like a kind of a smooth tie, like, and I don't think there's much to be done about that.
Yeah.
It was very grindy games that could have gone either way. And it was just a tie, is what it is. I won that one in turns on time as well.
Mm-hmm.
So the one turn was precisely enough for me to eke out some of these ties. Day 2 went pretty well for me. I went 3-1 on the proper day 2, and then I ID'd my last round. Beat a Charizard to start off the day, which made me feel really confident. And then I lost to a Goldango, unfortunately. Both games actually came down to a confusion flip on Mindbend, and both games I would have won if Lucas had flipped a tails on that final turn.
Dude, that's crazy.
But ideally, it doesn't even come to that. I had kind of slow starts in both games, but like that was my way to like make it up. Was I was gonna Mindbend this final turn, and it would have felt so good if I was able to eke some of those out. But like, I don't know. My experience is I've like never had a Mindbend flip matter, so like I kind of run under the assumption that my Mindbend flips aren't going to work out, and unfortunately that meant I was going to lose both of those games. Round 12, JW and I actually got matched, which was fun, and it always sucks to like have to play your friend at a point where like you can't ID or anything, but like it is what it is. So JW and I sit down, shuffle up and play. Unfortunately for JW, I think my experience with the deck shined through in that round as compared to him. I kind of soundly defeated him in both games.
Yeah.
And that's no shade to my lovely opponent JW. I even let you take back a misplay.
I knew you were gonna. I knew you were gonna bring that up. I knew it. You did.
Dude, you like fully brought the Pokemon up and like did the action and then asked if you could take it back.
I did.
And I said yes.
I did. Yes. That is true.
That's like super far along that happened, and I said yes.
I know because you're my boy. I was gonna whoop your butt. My boy. I know. That's honestly and it was crazy too. Bro. It was crazy too because the games I feel like, and maybe you had a different perspective, but it was like it was kind of like both like the even game, which was our first game, like you won. Yeah, it was like kind of like a back and forth. And then like you took it in the end, right? And like you won that game, like the grindy back and forth. And then you also won the game where like I got ahead by 2 prizes. Like I like should win that, 80 or 90% of the time. You also won that. So like, yeah, you creamed me for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it was entertaining though. And like hopefully I sold you on the fact that mirror actually is pretty interesting.
Yeah, it is.
Because you were a skeptic, I think, on the mirror going in.
Well, what I didn't really account for, because I was kind of relying on maybe past mirrors where like you're screamtailing the monkeys until you can maybe get to a point where you could take a 2 prizer with like a counter catcher or something. But the Frillish actually adds a bit more depth there, right? Because you're able to like monkey a Screamtail and then Frillish, and then that guarantees that that your opponent can't get back the Screamtail next turn. So then your monkeys are safe on the bench, and that's kind of where I went off the rails. And I think you pointed that out after the game, that you're like, there was maybe a turn that I could have Frillished your Screamtail and like use that as an advantage in the matchup. Yeah. So it's just like those little like intricacies, and again, like you're saying, I didn't have that matchup experience in the mirror that that I obviously need to get before EUIC. But yeah, I think this is a fun format. This is a pretty fun mirror as well.
Yeah, agreed. I enjoy this format a lot. Then I rounded off by playing a Dragon Ball Dusknoir that I don't recall the game that well, which to me I think probably means I just ended up swiftly winning if I had to guess. Again, the matchup felt really good on paper. I was testing in like my recorded games at like 75+% win rate in that matchup. Yeah. So yeah. I felt really good every time I sat across from one.
Yep.
And my last round, I ended up playing against Grant Manley. We had talked at the start of the round about potentially IDing to guarantee top 128. Neither of us really felt like we cared about the championship points. And both of us felt like having a booster box would be a better use of our time. And we talked about it. We mulled it over. Grant decided he wanted to play it out because he wasn't feeling totally confident in the resistance element of it all. And so we played out. We had a really close game 1 in the end. And it was very like casual. Like Grant and I, we know each other. We've been in the same circles for a long time. So it's like a kind of another friend match, not quite on the level of JW, but I would consider Grant like someone I'm friendly with. So we're having a very casual game 1. Like turn 1, he discards a Briar off of an Ultra Ball. I remember this distinctly. And he's like, I don't think this will really matter. I don't remember. He Ultra Balled twice, I think, that turn. Or he at least played multiple search cards. I think it was to get a Pidgeotto so he could like start to evolve his Pidgeot line under Frillish. And I end up getting the item lock. So like it was a savvy move. And I told him like, yeah, like in my experience, the Briar doesn't often matter. Like you're kind of able to run the Guardy off the board, and that's how you win as Charizard, more than like taking sneaky Briar turns. But what's interesting is the Briar actually did matter in the end game. So we built up this situation where he's at 2 prizes left and I'm at like 3, I think. But I need to like start taking some knockouts with my monkeys so I can build up to my final 2 prize turn. And so I go down to 2 and I end up being able to Turo my final liability, my Gardevoir, out of play. And I have Kirlia, Ralts on board with a candy in hand. So if Grant goes for like boss, I still have Guardy. If he goes for Iono, I have Kirlia on board and I can Guardy. And I Frillish him that turn to get a little damage on his Charizard. And I spread onto the bench Tatsugiri. So that way I'm like basically guaranteed to have a 2 prize knockout. Either I can knock out the Charizard in the active, or I can knock out Tatsugiri plus like Screamtail, some random crap on the bench. And ironically, in that situation, if Grant had Briar, he had Noctowl in play. If he had Briar, he could have just knocked out for the Briar and knocked out the Frillish, taking his last 2 prizes. But because he Ultra Balled it away on that first turn, I was able to win that game in the end.
Yeah.
So that was kind of funny. That we had like both agreed the Briar wouldn't matter, and then it was like the game deciding card. There are some other things I think Grant could have done to tighten up that game, and we had talked about them after the game was over. But it was, it was kind of like a fun game. He offered the ID after that, and what went through my head is, okay, like what are my best and worst case situations here? My best case situation is I either 1-0 or I beat Grant some other, like 2-1, 1-0, 2-0, whatever. Like I beat Grant and I get top 64. I get like 60th or something if I won, which means I get 1 booster box and like 80 championship points or something. Or maybe it's 120. I don't know. My worst case scenario is I brick the next 2 games. Grant runs me off the board. I get top 256 and get the pity packs. And like the average case is like maybe Grant wins and we tie anyway. So I'm like, okay, like I'm just going to guarantee the top 128, and like Grant's a chill guy that I'm friends with. Like, yeah, I'll just take that ID, which is kind of a lame move, but I stand by it because I got my freaking booster box. So yeah. So like I don't really care about like the top 64 or my limitless or anything. Like I care about the prizes first and foremost.
Yeah, and you're out of the cash.
I wasn't gonna like throw those on the line.
Right.
Exactly. Like I wasn't fighting for like anything of note. I was fighting for a limitless page entry. So at that point I'm like, yeah, whatever. Like, this was a close game. Let's just tie.
Yeah. Well, according to Andrew, that's fair.
And so we tied, and we both got top 128.
So
yeah. Well, dude,
you kind of lost
just
points
according to
Andrew,
me, dude.
So yeah.
What do you mean? Yeah, the limitless page is everything, dude. Come on.
Nah, man. Nah,
It's everything.
I'm over the limitless page for me.
Limitless page is everything, bro. It's all you have. It's all you have. What's your legacy? What do you leave on this earth?
Bro, I could make
Nothing.
an AI limitless page that's way better.
But a limitless page. One day
I stand by getting that freaking bag, bro.
We will
I want
all,
that booster box.
we will all return to the dust from whence we came, and all that will be left of us.
Except for our limitless page.
Except for our limitless page.
That's true. That's true.
That's funny.
Well, this podcast will also live on the internet, so the listeners of the future will know when they check my limitless page that it was because I ID'd to get the booster box.
Very important.
And they'll understand.
Yes.
They'll understand because that booster box will be worth millions when they're
teaching
listening
it.
to this.
When they're teaching it in the history courses.
Exactly.
Big.
So,
Yeah.
All right. Well, congrats,
So-
Riley. It was fun. Same 16 with you. I gotta say.
Yeah.
And
The thing is, I really.
No,
You
go
finish
ahead.
that.
Go ahead.
I really feel like my gameplay and my list was tight enough. Like I feel like that was a tournament winning list.
Yeah.
With like tournament winning gameplay, in my opinion. It was just like tightening up the time and like my scooping was the difference maker for me.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah, it was a fun tournament. My recap, very streaky, I would say. I had a fire start, like just 6-1 right out of the gate. You'll notice here that I played 6 dark decks, right? You count Charizard as a dark deck, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Charizards and a Grimmsnarl. I did not lose to a dark deck. And that's same with you, Riley. Like you tied a couple. Obviously one was intentional in Grant in the last round. But that's kind of where I felt, and maybe you can corroborate this, or maybe you didn't feel this way, but that's where I really felt the Drifloon kind of take over.
Yes.
In some of these Charizard matchups, right? Because you're able to, because what Charizard wants to do, if they don't go Terapagos, which is a pretty easy knockout for Clefairy, and actually a decently favorable trade because they're putting up a 2-prizer and they're knocking out your 1-prizer, they will try to push Charizard generally, and or that's kind of what I found. And then if it's their 1 Charizard, you can just punish that with a Drifloon. Pretty early.
Yeah,
on,
I feel like
right?
the Noctowl builds especially aren't
Yeah.
as good about going wide with the Manders.
Yep.
So, and I also feel like the Noctowl build is more vulnerable to like a random Frillish. So I feel like there's a lot of ways to creatively win the Noctowl matchup, and the Drifloon is really helpful for just like expanding that toolkit.
Yeah. So I think moving forward that's going to be a big card for me. But maybe I just don't know what I'm talking about. But I don't know. It was kind of interesting. Like the Charizard decks, I felt like I was really thinking in one of the games, and then in the other game, they just brick. And so that's kind of how I was winning. Like
That-
I was like doing just like the
Well,
mental
yeah.
gymnastics to like, okay, if they have this and then I play this and then like this is my counter and then if they do that and I'm like really going through it and then I win that game and then the next game they just have nothing and I'm able to, you know, punish their lone Charmander or they just, you know,
Well, I feel
don't
like the
start with
Noctowl build
support.
especially like is bricking all the time.
Yeah.
In my experience.
So first 7 rounds were pretty smooth sailing by and large. Got to face Amy, which was a lot of fun. And then I get put on stream for round 8. I haven't actually watched this game yet, but I know just coming off of it that was not a good performance. I haven't seen the stream clip back yet, but I like when I was in it, my head was kind
never
of in a
watch your
blender.
L's, bro. Never watch your L's, bro.
No, this one's
Never
going to be
watch
really
them.
important to watch for
Never
since it's the
watch
same
them,
format
bro.
as EUIC. I need to learn how
Nah,
to
bro. Learn
how to figure
nothing.
out the
Learn
Goldengo
nothing,
matchup.
bro. Learn nothing. Nah, that's some nerd stuff, bro.
Yeah,
I think JW has to study that Dango matchup a
yeah.
little bit.
No, so the first two, like I played bad on stream. Round 4 against Elsie was interesting because I actually feel like I made some pretty good plays, and then he just like drew like godly. Like I had an undamaged Gardevoir that I pushed up in game 1, and he had like 2 energy in the discard and like 1 Goldengo out, and then he just drew into. He was like, "Yeah, I was just planning on bossing this turn." It tells me after the game. He's like, "I was just planning on bossing that turn to like maintain the prize race, but then I just kept drawing into like multiple earthen vessels and superior, and I just ended up having everything to knock out your active Gardevoir from having like no energy on board and only 2 energy in the discard pile." I'm like, all right, whatever. Definitely got
Skill gapped.
skill gap there. And then my round 8, I don't know what went wrong, but I think a lot of things did, and my head was just in a blender at that point on stream. Didn't play particularly well. And then round 9, I played against another Goldengo, and this list played the Monkey Dory, which I think is very bad.
Lucas also played the Monkey Dory.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe you can walk me through how to navigate the monkey, because I think you have to kind of go for it early. Well, they're not going to drop it early, but you have to like really target the energy at least. And he dropped Monkey Dory. I was having kind of like middling starts, and he drops the Monkey Dory, and I'm like, okay, yeah, that's curtains for me. So some pretty unfortunate draws, and just general good play from my Goldengo opponents. And then my round 10, I remember that being relatively quick, similar to your loss to the Dragapult, just getting Badooed out of the game. Had a couple more wins against some dark decks, and then my round 14, I think, was the most interesting round that I played of the whole match. I win game 1, and then game 2, I'm in a winning position. He has one way to win, and that's to fez for 3 cards, and they have to be like rare candy, super odd Charizard. Like it has to like literally be a 3-card combo, which he has access to, so there's a % chance that it happens. He doesn't get that, but what he does get is rare candy Dawn, which allows Tony to go into a Dusknoir, and he's able to pop Dusknoir, since we were both at 1 prize each, to force a sudden death. So sudden death comes around.
The elusive sudden death.
And I feel like to a Charizard Noctowl deck, like they want to be in sudden death games, right? I mean, maybe there's an argument for Goldengo.
Yeah.
Well, certainly in this matchup, right? But there's an argument like Goldengo wants to be in sudden death, because they can attack first turn. But like Charizard, I don't know. What are we thinking? Like 70% of the time is getting a turn 2 Charizard with the access to Noctowl and the fan Rotom for the early game and everything. So anyway, he wins the flip. He's able to go first. He gets out a Charmander. I think he starts the fan Rotom. I can't quite remember. But he gets out a Charmander and a Terapagos. Or sorry, he gets out a Charmander, a Pidgey, and a Noctowl. And then he Ultra Balls away another Hoot Hoot. What did I say? He gets out a Pidgey, Charmander, Hoot Hoot.
He gets out a Hoot Hoot.
He Ultra Balls away another Hoot Hoot. And so I'm like,
To get
okay.
what?
I think it was to get the Charmander out. So I'm
I see.
like, okay, in what world does a Noctowl player get rid of a Hoot Hoot? Like what is the hand? Like, what is he sitting on, right? Because I'm thinking like, okay, he must have other things in his hand that he just cannot get rid of, and the most expendable piece of whatever he has is the Hoot Hoot. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, it's a 3-card hand. He's got to have Dawn, right? Like, that just seems like the most obvious thing for what he's got. He's got to have Dawn here. And so I have the decision to make. Do I like research and give myself some energy in the discard and just a little bit more draw, or do I go for the Iono? And I like get baited into the Iono. He tells me afterwards, he's like, yeah, I had nothing. But luckily for me, the Iono for 7, 6 in the draw, like gives him nothing as well. Like, he doesn't draw Dawn. He doesn't draw Terapagos Noctowl. He just like gets nothing, and he has to attach pass. And then my hand is godly. I have like the Secret Box and Rare Candy Gardevoir, and I just go Rare Candy Gardevoir and take a 1 prize knockout. So that one was super lucky because the first game took a long time. The second game took a long time, and we like finished up that sudden death game with maybe 5 minutes to go. So that was like definitely going to be a tie if I didn't win in sudden death. But yeah, very very cool game. I'm going to remember that for a long time. So solid finish. I mean, 9-5-0. I didn't tie with Gardevoir, which is maybe like a failing on my part, but the top 256 with the deck, I feel pretty good about it. And it's one of the 2 choices that I'm thinking about for EUIC next week.
Very cool stuff. Very cool stuff. Yeah, Gardevoir just by the numbers was like the play for this tournament. If you look at the top archetypes in the metagame, you can see that the straight Gardevoir deck had far and away of like the highly played archetypes the best win rate, the best conversion rate. So no regrets whatsoever as far as deck decisions go. That's for sure. I feel like the time was to me like straight Gardevoir particularly is clearly like the best deck in the format and like the one that people should be most prepared for. Now, of course, Giovanni ended up winning the whole thing with Gardevoir Jellicent, but best deck in the room doesn't win every single tournament, and I think Gardevoir Jellicent was also fairly well positioned into the top 8 in particular. With Raging Bolt, for example, it's very nice to have Jellicent option.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, I think what we saw from Toronto, especially, and we can talk about some of the other tournaments as well, but you're seeing a very Dragapult heavy meta. And so, you look at the top 16, right? You have 4 straight Gardevoir in top 16. Obviously, only 1 made ASIM and Henry Chow. But you were seeing, by and large, like a pretty favorable, if you could navigate the Goldango matchup, like a pretty favorable
yeah, and I think that's basically what it comes down to for Guardy, right? Is like the matchups are honestly very good for the straight Guardy, especially. It's really just that Goldango is, in my opinion, like the one that feels like the closest. You can even see like Henry had a tie and a loss against the Goldango, going 1-1-1 in in the tournament against Goldango, which feels like very much like an expected value against Goldango.
I agree.
If you play it thrice.
Yep.
So that all said, taking a look at some of the other events in the metagame as well, I think to me at least, before we dive into other events, the Dragapult situation feels like a clear response to like the rise of Charizard as an archetype. It has really propelled Dragapult back into the forefront. I also feel like particularly the people playing like more of the Henry Chow style jelly lists that are extremely greedy on the Curlia line and the Ralts line for that matter, the Dragapult really actually think has a favorable matchup into that deck when you're playing such a thin Guardy line.
Yeah, makes sense. I did want to shout out one more player, and that's our very own Jesse Parker. Jesse, if you're listening to this, I just want to make it very clear, and for everyone that's listening to this in the future, that I never doubted you. that I always believed in you. Jesse was playing round 14 on stream for his spot in the asymmetrical top cut. Ended up losing in a tough matchup to Goldango, but yeah, Jesse, congrats on a top 64.
I know, and it was
Toronto.
it was a very winnable game as well in that game 3. So definitely could have seen Jesse in the top 8. Now I'll admit I was definitely a skeptic on the deck, though I did swear and held by my promise not to make fun of it. I think this is the best way to play Iron Hands if that's kind of the strategy you're looking to accomplish. Personally, the question is just like, is that a strategy that wins tournaments? I think maybe not major tournaments, but I think it can get you into cash finishes and get you into top 8s, top 16s.
Yeah,
which is pretty good. Yeah.
We all know, like, the problem with the deck, the problem with all this, the speed archetypes is like there's really no movement if you miss a beat. So, if you miss a turn 1 supporter, or if you miss an attack at any point in those early turns, there's really no comeback. So you have to just be foot on the gas for every turn of the game,
which the deck is built to do that.
Yeah, it's built to do that, of course.
I will say, I think there is some like crossfire going on with this deck, because you really want to be able to pop your magnetons, and so the rise of Dragapult might prompt people to reconsider cards like Psyduck, which would be quite devastating.
Well, so yeah, Psyduck is important, and then this deck takes a pretty tough L to like Mega Kangaskhan decks, right? You're just never eclipsing.
Yeah, but that's like a fraudulent.
That HP. No, it is. It is. I'm just saying, there's like no gameplay there, right?
Sure.
There's really no, toughing that one out. So
I think it's fine to take hard losses though. Like if I don't know, like for example, if you had a deck that auto won, like you flip over your cards, you instantly win. Not saying this is the situation, but like hypothetical. You had a deck that instantly beat Charizard, Gardevoir, and Dragapult, and had like a 50-50 against Goldango, and like auto lost against every single other deck. You'd probably still play that, right? To a tournament.
I mean, right now, I think the format is condensed enough that it might be good, but historically, I don't think you want to do that.
Sure.
I don't know. Anyway.
I'm saying you can take hard L's and win tournaments.
I agree, but I don't know if you can, even though we've consistently branded this format as a 4-deck format, I don't think it can be that narrow. Like, you just have no play into Crustle, into
sure,
Kangaskhan
but also
decks,
like
into,
Zoroark or whatever has like no play into you, so yeah, Grimmsnarl has no play into you, so it's like little of A, little of B.
Suppose so.
Like I would take at least if your autos are the Crustle and the Kang, like I think those are acceptable autos. That's all I'm saying.
Oh yeah, okay, I'd agree with that.
So let's take a look then at some of the other events that have happened since Toronto. We have the Merida Regional Championship, which I gotta say, folks, looking at the top 14 ASIM. We got some fraudulent stuff going on in Merida. I'm sorry. Someone's got to say it. We got Grimmsnarl beating Dragapult Charizard in the finals, and we're calling this a major?
Yeah, dude.
Who let Jesper back in the finals, bro?
Dude. Legend, bro.
Yeah. Jesper,
this was his 2 for fun decks in the final. No offense to the players.
This was his first major finals appearance since 2016 Worlds, where he was a senior.
Yeah, dude. Well, making the finals of things is really freaking hard, man.
True. Very true.
So, like, who cares? Hasn't made the finals since 2016 Worlds. Like, dude is literally a world champion and just got finals of regionals. Yeah, that's freaking goated. It's not easy, bro. You could be goated, and it's just hard to make it to the finals. Just
interesting.
Go back to when I beat Jesper at Milwaukee while I was eating crayons. He could not keep up with the pressure.
Yeah, well,
I mean, JW.
Yeah,
you're lucky you made it to 3 finals of anything.
I'm lucky.
that you've won all 3. Yes, you're very lucky. Yes. And
I'm lucky?
yeah,
That's crazy work.
you're lucky.
Okay, hold on. You cannot say like it's hard to make top 256 and then also claim you're not lucky when you make finals with that.
That's crazy. No, I got that dog in me. When I make it to the finals, I make it count, bro.
You haven't made top 8 at that many big tournaments.
I mean, it depends on what you
just
think.
finals a lot. You just finals a lot. But for instance, like
more than average,
you've made it to the finals of 3 regionals, you've won 3. I've made it to the finals of 2 regionals, I've won 1. Riley's made it to the
one
finals
of those isn't
1.
even on Limitless. Imagine if
One of JW's regional wins is not on Limitless.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. But the YouTube video does exist. I should do a VOD review because you talk about luck in the final. Actually, it was quite lucky the last turn. I remember it was basically an auto. It was basically an auto loss matchup, and my opponent.
Pretty lucky when you said.
Do you know? You probably have no idea. But anyway, my opponent
it's just the way that you were like
shouldn't have.
You were so appalled that I said that luck had anything to do with you having 3 regional wins. And then the first word out of your mouth when you started to describe this video of you winning a regional is that you got pretty lucky. I told you, dude,
got lucky.
I mean, there are multiple other, there are very many situations where it's like I'm in top 8 of a regional. And if like one thing goes differently, like I could be in the finals winning. Like, I mean, just the time that I got top 4 and lost to Azul in top 4, at a Madison regional championships with Buzzwall, it was like we were 1-1, like 1 card, and then if I win that, I go on, and if I 1 card difference, like if I get 1 more turn, like Azul didn't have the win in hand 1 turn.
Yeah.
If he doesn't have the win in hand 1 more turn, I'm in the finals versus Mike Pramwatt, who I'd beaten twice that tournament already. I beat him in day 1, I beat him in day 2, and then I'm 3 times I get to play against Mike Pramwatt. But like Mike Pramwatt ends up winning that regional because he beat Azul in the finals. But it's like, and you have to have things go your way.
The Zoro Rock matchup is pretty favorable for you there too.
Yeah, well,
I know.
Hang the Banner almost beat Azul.
I think lifetime against Azul, I think it's just 1-1 for us.
I think I beat Azul the 1 or 2 times that we played. I don't think we played very much though. I remember I played him with Lugia in San Diego with the broken Lugia deck, and I beat him. That was sick. It was round 1 too, which was crazy.
Nice.
I'm trying to think if I played against him more than twice. The only ones I remember are that one in top 4 of that regional, and then the time we played. What was the regional in Texas where we played each other in a final round of Swiss JW or Riley? With
San
Lugia?
Antonio or
San
Dallas?
Antonio, yeah.
Yeah, San Antonio.
San Antonio.
I mean, it
San
was
Antonio.
like yeah.
Texas
the
regional.
Lugia.
I don't know.
The Lugia list.
Yeah,
Man.
the Lug.
But then I prized both
The
Lugias in
premonition.
Top Cut. That was crazy.
Sucks.
that.
I'm telling you, bro. And then
One
look at how
card,
many
man.
times,
It's all-
like, look at how many times, like, Piper's had some bad beats in, like, Top Cut of a tournament, prizing things or just, like, dude, I mean, anybody who says that, like, that there's no luck required to, like, make it to the finals. That's
Dude,
crazy
what
talk,
sucks is when I played the
That's
stall
crazy
deck
talk.
to Collinsville, and that deck was so broken, but like the top 4 was just all my worst nemesis, unfortunately. So I actually couldn't win that.
That could have been another finals. Like that could have been another.
Yeah,
finals for you,
I
though.
couldn't
You were
have
right
won that
there.
tournament though. I couldn't have won that tournament though. There were too many ops in the top 4, and that's like a stall deck is too vulnerable. I think to like your opponent has time to like figure out they're getting the counters and stuff, whereas like a Buzzle deck can like run an op off the table. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I actually don't think that was a tournament winning prospect, but it should have been. It should have been.
So I'm feeling, and we talked about this a little bit during the deleted episode that'll never air. The lost episode of
Real
Tag
ones
Team.
know the deleted episode.
Yeah, the lost episode. Yep. But I'm just feeling really energized about the game again. I feel like my little hiatus from like competitive play for the last like year and a half has really helped kind of refresh me, and I'm just feeling like I'm in a much better place with everything right now, as far as like having a firm grasp on like my day-to-day responsibilities, my ability to make it through being a father and a husband and all of that, and taking care of a family, taking care of a house, taking care of my responsibilities, taking care of getting content out, like, and then like what's my flow with all this stuff, right? I mean, for a while, having a kid kind of just changes everything, right? So like for a while, performing at a Pokemon tournament was just the last thing that I was really caring about or thinking about. But now that I'm kind of getting my rhythm down, getting my flow down, feeling, confident with everything again, I'm feeling pretty energized for post rotation. Like, I really don't care about this current format, because it's just like, for me, taking that little hiatus, it's like I'm behind on this format. I was always going to be kind of perpetually behind on this format. I mean, I literally didn't play in a major for an entire year between 2024 NAIC and 2025 NAIC. And then, kind of been slowly getting back to it. But now, like, I've got like League Cups marked on my calendar. I'm also energized by the fact that the vlogs are like doing well as far as like content goes, on YouTube. People like those, and I'm like liking making them. So like, that's a win-win.
Need more vlog content,
because, well, I could just, they don't feel unnatural for me to make. Like, they feel,
right.
they feel fine. I feel good about making them. I don't feel like I'm like forcing it or whatever. It's just kind of like, they just flow, and like telling the stories about, getting out there and playing and just getting kind of giving people that experience. I think there's a lot of interest in what it's like to go to tournaments and do that kind of stuff. So it's there's definitely more interest in it now than what there used to be. That's for sure. I mean, look at it. I mean, attendance is higher. That means interest is higher, right? So it's pretty cool to see.
True.
So I've even thought about like vlogging some locals, like go to a League Cup or whatever. And like, I bet you some tournament organizers that I know in the local area would let me set up a little tripod to even record my games. Like, I bet that I could orchestrate that.
Oh yeah,
that'd be
give
cool.
me a little static. Yo. You think like, AJ, give me a little. Think you'd do me a little solid here. Let me get a little static seating spot at the League Cup. Something like that. Let me set up a tripod. I don't know. It's all up to the tournament organizer or whatever. You can't do that at like a regional, obviously, but like, but at a local, certainly. So I've thought about doing that too, which would actually create some pretty cool content, like me, like actually getting out there, playing in a League Cup, and then getting to like talk about it. Kind of just give me something fun to, create content around, since I'm not like I'll stream TCG Live, but I'm not like making videos with TCG Live anymore.
Sure.
So like the vlog style videos have been pretty fun. And I'm looking forward to post rotation, just kind of digging into that format, and we'll just see where things go. I just want to get back into like good performance shape for tournaments.
Yeah, just
That's
to prove you're
goal
not
for
washed.
2026.
For
Get
sure.
back into shape.
Exactly.
Well, I don't need to prove anything to anybody. I don't.
Okay.
I don't need to prove anything to anybody. I firmly believe that. Well, yeah, because if you do let that creep into your head, that you need to prove something to somebody, that never goes away. So what do I have to prove?
It's called a chip. It's called a chip.
But what do you have
chip
to
on your
prove
shoulder?
to anybody?
Well, what do you have to prove
I
to
don't
anybody
anymore.
for anything?
For anything. That's what I'm saying. But like, my Limitless page speaks for itself, bro. So there's nothing left to say, bro. It's like, if you let that get to you, where it's like, oh, well, you're only as good if you haven't done anything in the last year, you're washed, you're nothing. That's just like, then that sickness never goes away. You could even do so. I could be like, I could go out there and win a regional right now. And then like 3 years from now, if I don't do anything else, oh, he's washed, he sucks. Like, bro, no, it's just, you can't let that. That's not a positive driver.
I mean, it's possible that
Interesting,
you're washed
interesting.
and suck
Yeah.
in that circumstance.
Yes, but you can't let that That is not. I don't think that's like a positive motivator.
Well, so it's
least
very
not for me.
fascinating that you have that.
Oh yeah, it's a
viewpoint.
negative motivator.
It's fascinating that you have that viewpoint for yourself, and yet you don't really extend that to others in the same fashion.
How do you mean?
I digress.
No. I do extend it to
I
others,
digress.
like people who have goated Limitless pages. I respect, but people whose Limitless pages are looking, kind of scuffed. Like the page speaks, bro. Like for instance, like I don't need somebody who is really good at the Pokemon TCG from 2005 to like 2012. I don't need them to have done anything recently for me to know that player is a good player. Because like I know what their resume is, I know they're goated, right? Like I don't give a crap what they played like in 2018 if that's not their era. You know what I mean? Like they're goated. Like I have respect for that player and the time that they were goated. Yeah. I'm not the kind of person who's like you're only as good as your latest entry, brah. That's not. I think that's extremely toxic.
Well, I mean, some would say that you actually do treat our friend JW like that. Like he's defined by his latest mediocre entry on his Limitless page that he's been racking up.
Yeah, that's
for the
just because
last
I
2
like to
years.
harass him. I like to harass him, but he's still a 3-time regional champ. I introduce him as that all the time.
So it's
Well,
just
I'll
let me
let
be clear.
everybody
One of
know.
those regionals is pretty fraudulent, but like the
Oh
other,
my
See, I would
goodness.
never say that. No, I would never say that.
I
to
played
me,
my
no regional is
heart
fraudulent.
out. Okay, I played my heart out. All right.
Okay, I'll qualify it. Did the regional have a day 2? If the regional didn't have a day 2, then it is fraudulent.
Literally the first regional to have a day 2,
Then it's legit.
or like the first one
If
to
it
have
didn't
day
have a
2
day
Swiss. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Then that's legit. That's legit.
Yeah.
That's legit, bro. That's legit.
There you go. See,
Now there
okay,
were some
so then they're all
regionals that,
legit.
like,
So they're
didn't
all
even
legit.
have a day 2.
So they're all legit. Okay.
Well-
all right. Next question, Your Honor.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Jeez.
Yeah. for sure, they're all legit, bro.
Jeez.
Thank
If
you.
they have
Thank
day
you.
2, I
Thank
mean,
you.
So what you're saying
crazy.
is next season you're going to be playing your version of Dragapult Charizard. That's what this is all leading to.
I don't know what deck I'm going to get obsessed with yet, but I do want to lock in on something.
Dude, we need to brew.
But I
We
don't.
need to
Also, I don't want to lock
brew.
in on. I don't want to lock in on something because then that's like. But that's what
No,
everybody's
I'm
doing.
thinking we lock in stocks now.
Yeah, the problem with not
watch them
locking in,
rise.
the problem with not locking in is that there are too many decks right now. Like, I mean, the results of like Merida, Toronto, Birmingham, Auckland, like all these different tournaments had vastly different metas, and I think they all had like different. Well, they certainly all had different finals matchups. I think they maybe all had different winners as well. The problem with like trying to switch between decks is that you got to know all of the matchups for all those decks, right? So like locking in, I think just has way more benefits than not doing so.
Well, I don't know.
Because
Like,
even
we're
if you
also-
lock into,
bear in
like,
mind, we're also
even-
at the late stage of a rotation. right?
Yes,
So like
that's
the
true.
format's
That's
naturally
true.
going to be wider.
That's true. That is true.
Just we're at the largest parsable card pool besides Ascended Heroes stuff.
That's a good point. So
But like I think the general idea of maybe not 100% locking in, but like I feel like it's good to have like the front runner. You know, in the modern day and age, the only way you can be practiced enough with a deck to like really put a deep run in my opinion.
yeah, no doubt.
That's why I committed to only play good decks and after NAIC when I played a bad deck.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about Birmingham. There was this regional as well, won by Ethan Wild with the Dragapult Dusknoir deck. Emma Hagen making a second finals appearance this year. Kind of crazy.
Insane work for sure.
Kind of crazy to think about that with their Flareon deck. And I think the impressive thing there is that sticking to their guns, like that's another thing, right? It's like you pick a deck, and if nobody knows that matchup, you're already getting percentage points, right? Like probability wise of winning that set.
Sure.
Because I guarantee you there have been players that have not even thought about Flareon at all in this format
Right.
that she played against.
No, definitely not. Yeah.
So
I
go ahead.
Yeah, it's crazy work. Emma is definitely goated for sure. I'm not gonna lie, I don't feel like Flareon is a tournament winning deck. But the fact she's always positioned to win these tournaments in Europe, I think is a testament to how practiced she is with it and how well she knows her lines for all these matchups. I think it's also, I don't know, like what goes on, like what's in the water in the European Union over there and the United Kingdom as well. But like the Gardevoirs over there, like something's up, man. Like Gardevoir sweeps this entire top cut. Like,
Yes. Yes, it does. Yeah. I mean,
Crazy.
You're saying they don't play Guardy over there, huh?
Well, this
They
is like
don't-
the reverse
know how
of
to
the
play
Mew
Guardy right.
situation. This is like the reverse of the Mew situation, right? Like, you remember a couple years ago when Mew won every single tournament in Europe? Like,
Mm-hmm.
Gardevoir should be winning every single tournament in Europe with their finals matchups, and instead it's like maybe gets a top 16 at any given European tournament. It's very strange. Very, very strange. And I don't understand. But the facts are there. I mean, the evidence is there. Proof's in the pudding. They don't know how to play Guardy over there.
time to show them.
Time to show. Time to show 'em. Also, shout out to another strongest soldier, Fabian, with the Dragapult
gosh, bro.
Blaziken deck
I know.
that he's been
So
rocking for the
sick.
last
So
6 months
sick.
or whatever.
I know.
That's what I'm
Like-
saying. All you need to do is believe in your Pokemon, dude. That's what I'm saying. I just need to train hard and believe in my Pokemon. Literally, lessons we've been taught since day one. Fabian, Emma, they believe in their Pokemon. They believe in their decks. They train hard, and they're reaping the rewards. Okay, they're not playing tier 1 decks. They're not playing tier 2 decks. They're not playing tier 3 decks. They're not playing decks that people put on tier ranking lists. Okay,
Okay, that's a little harsh on Eevee, but Blaziken, yes.
dude. Flareon is not on that deck. Is not on a tier list anywhere, dude. Nobody's like, what's the
come on.
Flareon?
Flareon's like
How
a
many
C or
people
D
do you
tier
think
deck.
play? How many people do you think play Flareon at Toronto? How many?
Oh,
many?
we can
Flareon
verify
decks?
At
this. We can
Toronto?
verify
Yeah.
this.
Well, let's go
take
see.
a look.
Let's
take a
go.
look.
Let's see. Let's see.
All right. Let's pull it up. Let's see.
Pull it up.
Oh my gosh, could you take any longer to pull this?
What are you talking
Pull it up,
about,
bro.
dude? What are you
Watch
talking
JW
about?
fumble through his tabs.
No, I'm not
This-
fumbling. I'm
this-
going to a new tab and
30.
then I'm pulling it up. So these are the metagame statistics. Yeah,
30.
Flareon 31. Okay, conversion
Oh,
rate
yeah, that's in the same.
of let's see, where are we at?
0.
Conversion rate of 16%.
So 5 made day 2.
Kind of low. Yeah, 5 made day 2.
Does not represent. That is not very well represented.
1.37%.
I feel like it's a deck that people are like
chance.
aware of, though. Like people know about like a Terabox.
Yeah.
deck.
I mean, like I've
You
heard
roll
of
up,
it.
you flip over a Torchic, your opponent has no idea what's going on. That, you know, like
Sure.
we're operating on different planes here.
Sure, Fabian's on that next level for sure. Yes. That next level, like
That's
I
my
am
point,
the only
yeah.
person in the. All right, how many Blazikens were here at Toronto?
Let's see. Let's take a look.
I don't think there's.
Let's take a look. I might as well do a control. Oh, Dragon Ball.
There it is,
Here we
there it
go.
is, there it
There
is,
was
there it is.
one.
One.
It didn't even
All
finish the tournament.
One, two.
He only played
That's-
for 3
yeah,
rounds.
Fabian is Blaziken.
We only got
strongest
9
soldier.
games of Blaziken.
Xander Fernandez. Hey, he got top
There you go.
2048 though.
That's true.
Hey, that's something in this age. All
That
right.
is something. Look at that thing. Wow. That is a beautiful deck. Fascinating stuff.
But Fabian's been raking in dollars. To be
Yeah,
clear,
he's
with
kind of
his-
been going crazy for sure.
Yeah, dude. Two like big finishes with the Blaze Chicken. Like an 18th, a 16th.
Yeah, pretty crazy. And then this is the result of the Auckland tournament. We have Peter Lowe winning with Dragapult. Kato Arai played the Grimmsnarl deck, which I feel like is a storyline from this weekend. Felt like there wasn't a lot of discussion on Grimmsnarl, but one of the main, I guess there's 2 contributing factors in my mind to why Grimmsnarl did so well. You had a couple in Merida do pretty well. You had Kieran Farah with a top 8, and then Raj with the the win in the finals, and then Kato here getting second. Obviously, a much smaller tournament, 80 players for that special event, much smaller. But I do feel like that's a deck that's on the rise because you have a significant spike in Charizard based decks, right? You have Charizard Dragapult, two variants of Charizard, right? So like Charizard are getting a lot of love right now. And then you have what I have always thought of as a pretty poor matchup in this format with the Lunatone Solrock in Goldengo. Like that is seeing, I would say it's on a downward trend from kind of peak times in the format. So yeah, I think a lot of the players that played Grimmsnarl at these last couple of weekends of tournaments really threaded the needle in terms of the metagame.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if you can dodge the Goldengo maybe in those really early rounds, it starts to taper off as you get to the later stages of the tournament. I'll be honest, I still think the Grimmsnarl deck just straight up sucks. Like, I think it's a bad deck. So, it does. It's mediocre in its like end state.
Yeah.
In exchange, you get no real engine besides Spike Move. So, I don't know. I just don't like that deck.
I think
that's
it's
probably
good.
like the least fun I had testing a deck in this format at all was playing Grimmsnarl. It was
interesting.
Miserable. Every single game was miserable.
Yeah, I think it's good. It's just risky, right? You're like really playing off of your hand. So it's just extremely hand driven, right? It's like you like you were mentioning, you get the stadium for a little bit of buffing in the mid to late game, but otherwise you're just like whatever you draw into off your opponent's Iono, that's kind of where you're at, right? And
right. The amount of times I've been Iono to 6 the Grimmsnarl and it's a game losing situation.
Yeah.
It's like, I've never seen a deck get Iono to 6 and lose as often as Grimmsnarl, besides maybe Charizard Noctowl.
Yeah, just 6.
But Charizard Noctowl at least has like the Dawn situation going for it, whereas Grimmsnarl, you like will top deck a Lily after 5 turns and then somehow still draw a dead hand after that. It's like, what am I doing? What am I doing? There's like a route to win this game if I just get like another Frostlass up, and if I could get the Grimmsnarl candy on this next turn after 5 turns of dead drawing, then I have a chance. It's like, come on.
Be real, right?
Doing?
Yeah, be real.
Like,
exactly.
What are we doing? I just really don't like that deck.
Yeah, I mean, that is the other deck that I'm testing for EUIC, because I do think the metagame trends as they are, like Dragapult is, I would consider that about a 50-50. Like if they do the Dragapult things and they board wipe you, obviously they win. But you can put pressure on them with Devos and, getting up your Frostlass. I think this was one deck that I was really excited about heading into EUIC, but then of course they announced the delay in the Ascended Heroes product, which would have given the Pokepad, was it Poke Radar,
Pokepad,
and the 70 HP Snorunt, which not the biggest buffs, but still significant. And so yeah, you're beating Charizard by and large. Really, your only matchups that you're extremely worried about, I would say, are like the Mega Kangaskhan base decks, Absol or the Boufflant. But everything else is, you have a fighting shot against. So I'm testing that heading into EUIC as well.
Should we then? Well, I feel like we've hit on a lot of the metagame. Is there other like trends that you'd want to call out going into EUIC, JW? I feel like Guardy to me still feels kind of like the foremost deck in the format, in my opinion.
Yeah.
With the other big 3 kind of still all playing in contention. Grimmsnarl maybe being like a little bit of an X factor.
Yeah.
That's on the rise at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I think the hope, right, as someone who's looking into Guardy, is that the meta will still shift in its hatred towards Goldengo, right? Like keep Goldengo kind of on the low. Hopefully players are going to be playing more, Toadscruel in their decks, Chi-Yu in their decks, Moltres, right? I think that's a card that's picking up popularity in the Dragapult decks. And it's seeming like Dragapult is starting to get Dragapult players are starting to figure out Goldengo, both with their play and with their lists and what they decide to include. So like that trend seems generally good for Gardevoir. If players are mucking up their decks with things to beat Gardevoir, if players are mucking up things to beat Goldengo, that means that there's less space for anything to handle Gardevoir. So that's kind of the hope, right? I do feel like the Dragapult Dusknoir players will be in full force, and I feel like a lot of Charizard players will be in full force. That's where I just see a lot of these same trends continue. I think Charizard's going to increase in play, funnily enough, and I think that that Dragapult Dusknoir will be right alongside with it.
You really think Charizard's going to continue to increase? I feel like it didn't really. There's a lot of excitement about Charizard that I feel like hasn't paid off.
I feel like it is. Yeah, I feel like they're. I mean, I don't know, paid off, because I think like you look at this is the last European event. I mean, look at the top 8 here. 4 Charizard. Well, the ASIM. 5 Charizards in ASIM.
Okay, but there was
6 in top 16.
0 in Toronto.
Well, but we're playing
0 Charizards
in Europe, right? I mean, come on.
0 in Toronto. They had Jesper as the only Charizard in Merida. Like, yeah, I mean, I guess there will be a European bias to the tournament, but it's a pretty heavily international event these days. There's a lot of people traveling from the U.S. and the Latin American regions to get over to these.
Anything you guys see? Meta-wise?
I'm a Guardy Truther, bro. Guardy Truther. All the way. Every matchup's favorable if you believe hard enough with Guardy.
Listen, bro, there's 2 decks worth playing. It's Guardy and it's Dragapult Dusknoir. Like, dude, pick one of those 2. The format's been the same for 6 months, bro. We don't really need it is what it is, bro.
And yet you played Goldengo. Curious.
Yeah, because I didn't want to play either of those 2. Okay, it just was what it was. I wasn't locked in enough. Wasn't locked in enough. It's too far behind the curve. But post rotation gonna be different.
Wasn't goated enough with the sauce.
Nah, bro. Post rotation we got. Yeah, dude. We got the. I got the Mega Diancie Dusknoir.
Dude, I have that queued up too, bro. That looks so sick.
Dude, that deck looks
with the power glasses, bro. With the power glass.
Yes, bro. Yes.
And the 4 Wonders patch. This is like you're speaking my language, dude. That looks so sick.
That's what I'm saying, dude.
Oh man.
Yeah, bro. Miss me with that Mega Starmie, dude. I don't need none of that.
Oh man.
Miss me with that Mega Lucario.
So, I mean, should we talk then about the future of the game? We haven't even touched on the rule changes yet.
Let's talk about rule changes, future of the game.
That'll be next week.
We got
week,
months
dude.
to talk about that.
Yeah,
we got months to
let's
talk
do
about
next
that,
week.
bro.
Yeah.
But rule changes.
So
that's
rule
big.
changes. I think
changes.
the first one we kind of hit on, right, is that Ascended Heroes is not going to be legal for EUIC. I think that was a big. I mean, frankly, that's like a really interesting call by the Pokemon Company, and they released a statement. I'm pulling it up now. But it was a really interesting call from Pokemon, because they basically said like, hey, we don't have enough product, we think, to satisfy like getting players the cards that they want before this tournament. I
don't know, bro. Look up Pokepad, man. I mean, what? Pokepad on TCG Player, pull it up. It's like $10, $12 bucks. Like, yeah, people were going to be mad about that. And the thing is, if Pokepad was going to be legal for EUIC, I think it'd be worse than this, But also, like, I feel like the decision was reactionary. I think that there were people who were like worried about it, but I think that TPCI could have just like barreled through with this one situation with such a small impact set, I should say. The only real card cards that are like going to be of any consequence are like an uncommon and a common. It's not
Yes,
like
exactly.
it's not like you're going to need like play sets of secret rares, brand new archetype, dominating the field type thing. And it's not like every deck is playing Pokepad.
Well, and that's the crazy thing too, right? It's like, I'm sure other games, players that have played other games, they have horror stories, right? About a rotation that came really late, right before a major tournament that just made some other card crazy expensive, or sets that were released right before a major tournament that they tried to get their hands on cards. Like, we haven't had a situation like this, where there had been a product shortage just before a major tournament. And, frankly, if it was, if Pokepads were $20 a card,
dude,
that's like we are so lucky to play this game where it's like we're freaking out.
Pokemon catchers used to be $20, bro.
Yeah.
Pokemon catchers, when I started playing,
I know, man.
I mean, this is like Pokemon catcher. It's like Pokemon catcher was a $20 card when I started playing, and that is a 2012 $20. Okay. Which is different.
Yeah, adjusted for inflation, that's like $200.
That is different, bro. That is different. That $20 went further back then.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, there's like the pricing element of it, but then there's also like the literal like physical availability of some of this stuff too. Like, I kind of get the logic of, for the things that don't have traditional booster boxes, like the ETBs being the closest equivalent, and that should dictate like quote unquote like broad scale availability. I actually kind of get that logic. I feel like if this wasn't just like a sweep the legs the week before the tournament, this would be like an obvious, just generic logistical decision for them to make. Because it's not just about the cards being $20. It's about the only stock. Like, they'll run out of stock. There's only like 50 of them on TCG Player right now. If 10 people buy a playset, they're out. So it's not just that they're like, and then it'll continue to rise like crazy as the stock goes out. So it's not just the upfront cost. It's like the supply is not nearly at a state where they can sustain a tournament off, even if just that one card is the legal card,
I think
the relevant card.
Yeah, like, I mean, obviously the spectator in me wants to just see the new cards be played with.
Yeah, of course, me too.
Just suck it up, and wants people to just suck it up and just barrel through it because it's just one event. So, like, the spectator in me wanted Pokemon to just actually have the new set legal for a major event one time this year. But as we now have the release date for the next Pokemon expansion after Perfect Order, right, which is after Indianapolis, it's like another major tournament that is not going to be debuting with like a set that's coming out right around the same time. It's like that kind of thing has just been the story of this entire year, is that tournaments are constantly being held in like older, staler formats with like newer cards right around the corner that aren't being featured in the major event. I feel like it's a major logistical flop from the Pokemon company to be consistently doing that all year. That it just seems so poorly orchestrated. And then to have a situation where you are going to have new cards be available for a major tournament, though, and then one time you're like, well, nope, we actually missed the ball on that one too, and are going to push it back more. So like it's disappointing from a spectator's point of view and from a fan's point of view to watch the game do this all year, because it's just like you're constantly missing those hype windows. But I think like from the Pokemon company's perspective, and thinking about things from their perspective, this is a boring answer, but the Pokemon company is in the business of trying to mitigate risk. That is just all the Pokemon Company International wants to do. They just want to protect the brand at all costs. They want to protect, the perception of the brand at all costs. And if like a trainer card is going for $50 a pop heading into one of their big tournaments, that's just going to create, doomer cycles within the community that are going to go viral, right? And people are going to see that, and people are going to perceive Pokemon as a game like, oh, I thought Pokemon was cheap. Oh, no, it turns out there's a $50 trainer. And it doesn't matter if the price plummets in 3 weeks, because no one's going to get the news in their feed about the price plummeting. They're only going to remember the fact that Pokemon had a $50 trainer, right? So, like, from TPCI's perspective, I think the move just makes sense. It's disappointing from a fan's perspective, which is what I'm kind of like feeling that emotion of it. But logistically, from their perspective, I think it's the move you kind of have to make because, again, they're in the business of trying to mitigate risk for their brand. So that's just what
I
it
also
is.
just
And
feel
they've
like
built up this good faith, right, with the card prices lately.
it's not just Pokemon that has to like white knuckle through that though. Like ignoring even the cost. Like as a player, if stock is low, what are you gonna troll like for eBay listings? Like all over the like this is a big. We're not like a scrappy game anymore. Where like people are finding like the new set releases straight from a vendor like 5 minutes before the event. Like you have to like prepare for these things, and there's not even serious vendor presence at the ICs. Really, like the vendors
No.
always are kind of weak at the ICs, in my opinion. So like you're maybe gonna find these cards, and I think like the end outcome of that is it's gonna create like weird disparities where people have to make deck choices based on card availability, or like people are gonna play more or less optimal builds because they're like fourth eBay vendor was able to get their Pokepad out, but their second and third ones weren't. You know, it's just like that's also frustrating as a spectator. You know, where like you're not actually seeing like the format as it was like kind of designed or meant to be played. You're seeing like this weird like kind of pseudo state of the format where people are kind of playing around whatever they can, you know? So I think it was the right call personally. And I feel like they should have just announced it like a month ago because they probably knew this was happening. So, or could foresee it happening.
Well, what I am surprised about is that it didn't happen later.
Like 3 days before.
Yeah, exactly. Like when I first saw this announcement, I was
surprised
like,
that the
"Oh
call
my
got
goodness!"
later.
Yeah, no, I mean, I saw this announcement.
Thank
I'm
goodness
like,
they got so far ahead of this.
yes, 100%. Right? Like, did you guys not have that same thought? I mean, Andrew, I feel like you're, probably the most skeptical of the company of all of us, and I felt like,
Bro.
if they were going to delay this, like it was handled reasonably, right? They gave a reasonable amount of time for players to pivot from what they were trying to do for EUIC.
Yeah.
So like, again, if we're talking 5-10 years ago, an announcement like this, yes, I'm expecting it to happen the week of the tournament.
Thursday.
Yeah, or the Thursday before the
Yeah.
tournament, right? That's what I would be expecting.
Oh,
But-
Pokemon has gotten so much better about this.
Yes,
kind of
and
stuff
props
in the last.
I'm trying
years.
to give them, give them their flowers on this because
No, I would. So I've
big
come
deal.
to expect better. Pokemon has trained me to expect better from them. I no longer am in the like, oh, we're not gonna know the dates for Worlds until a month and a half before Worlds. We're not gonna know the dates for NAIC until 6 weeks before NAIC. I feel like it was worse. I feel like it was bad sometimes.
It was
Like you didn't
bad.
get the dates for stuff until like
it was bad.
Oh,
Yeah,
the
but I mean,
Worlds
like-
in particular was egregious for a while.
it was. But I feel like Pokemon's done with all that. I feel like they're running a much tighter ship now. No, I expect a lot from the Pokemon company right now, and I feel like they deliver a lot now. There's a lot of different things that they've done to address that. I mean, forming the ambassador program has been big too. Feeling like I have, kind of a direct avenue to connect with and talk to the Pokemon Company International is really, and I know there's a lot of us ambassadors kind of feel that way. It's like they are taking community feedback very seriously now and listening and responding and doing a lot of stuff, a lot of good stuff. So no, I got a lot of a lot of respect for how they're running things right now. I mean, certainly they are kind of rising to the occasion and running things very professionally, I would say, as opposed to there definitely was scrappiness, a lot of scrappiness that with how things used to be run, and that like was kind of just how things were for decades. And then like as the game started to get bigger and the cash prizes were like big, it from like 2016 to 2020, a lot of the way that they ran things was unacceptable. But like post pandemic, I'd say they really tightened up on a lot of fronts, and it wasn't immediate, but like it was evident that they wanted to really tighten up the way that they ran things, and they have.
So props.
Yeah,
Props to you,
we've come a long
Pokemon.
way as a game.
We have, for sure.
We've been here for a lot of it.
Dude, 45 seconds. 45 seconds. Turn 1 deck search.
Yes, I'm trying to find that. Trying to find that post now. But yeah, we have some.
I'm timing you, bro.
You're timing me? This is my deck search.
45 seconds. 45 seconds. No, I'm just saying, like, I'm very ready to tell people that their 45 seconds is up and that they can continue checking their prizes on their next deck search.
Yes.
Which has a suggested time limit of 15 seconds.
Yes. so yeah, I mean, let's talk about that.
Dude.
So we have, we have new rule, or well, some of it is like a reversion, right? We're going back to +3 turns.
Yep.
With a 15-minute timer. And then
50-minute +3 turns for best of 3
for majors. Yep, exactly. And then we have the new suggested time allotments for in-game search.
Yep. 45 seconds is suggested time limit for turn 1 deck search. And that's the thing. Is like Pokemon, it's not a perfect game. It kind of feels like, in some ways it's like the NFL. It's like football, right? Like football. There's some parts of football that just aren't working, and they keep tweaking them and trying to make them make sense every year. But at a certain point, you're like looking at it, you're like, could it get fixed? Like, are there parts of this game that are beyond repair? And I'm like looking at the Pokemon trading card game, and I asked myself, having been playing for so long, like, there are parts of this game fundamentally that do not make sense. Like, that just might need, like, and you don't want to change a core component of your game is the thing for a game that's been around for so long.
Yep.
I mean, so like the prize card mechanic, right? And the fact that now that the game is being taken extremely seriously and is like, there's gamesmanship being involved in every corner and facet of competitive play. You had gotten to the point where the most competitive Pokemon TCG players would take an egregious amount of time for their turn 1 deck searches because they would just sit there and figure out every single one of their prizes. And if it took 2 to 3 minutes, it took 2 to 3 minutes. And that's just what it was. And that just became the exception. And nobody stopped anybody. There was no like amount of policing going on. There was no official guidance on how long a turn 1 deck search could take. Judges were all basically like, well, it's generally allowed to take a little longer on your first one so the players could check their prizes. But because there was no like guideline,
yeah, exactly.
People would just take it. People would just take as however long. And that actually makes the game, I would say, unwatchable on stream. It's one of my pet peeves about watching a live production, is that you're just sitting there and you're watching these players start a match. And every time they start a game, they're sitting there, they're sorting their deck. They're doing nothing it goes both ways. So you got player A doing nothing for 2.5 minutes, and then you got player B doing nothing for 2.5 minutes. And then the match inevitably ties on stream. I mean, it's just like every freaking time, dude, and it sucks. So I'm sick of that. I don't like it as a viewer, and I don't like it as a player either. It really takes you out of the game, when you're just sitting there and your opponent is just like solitaring and there's nothing you could do about it.
Yeah.
So they've changed it, and it's 45 seconds. It's the new suggested time, which is a huge change. Huge suggestion change. I mean, I easily would take 60 seconds on a deck search, just checking prizes. I never sort my deck really either to check prizes, which is something a lot of people do. I don't usually take notes either, but I could still take 60 seconds as I'm just like checking through things and taking mental notes. Mm-hmm. 45 seconds. I'm very happy. I think the less time, the better, dude. I don't care if they don't even let you check your prizes, bro. I don't care. If they said 30 seconds, great, whatever. So long as we're all playing by the same rules, I don't care. But, like, what bothers me is that people who just try to stretch it to its limits, right? And then people that are going to, like, basically just take as long as they want and basically be like to you, what, call a judge, you won't. And that's, like, a thing that players can use their status to get away with more that other players wouldn't be able to get away with. You have basically, if you're like a well-known name in the game, you could sit there and deck search for 2 minutes, even though the suggested time is 45 seconds.
Sure.
And just be like, what, call a judge on me? I bet you won't.
Sure.
Yep.
And
And a lot of people might be intimidated to call a judge on a player even if they are taking more than their allotted time. So time is a huge issue in the Pokemon TCG. I think that the fact that we keep adjusting things in regards to time with best of 350 minutes, whatever, is kind of pointing to that. Like, everybody knows it, that time is an issue, and we're trying to figure out what the sweet spot is. I'm going to kind of hold on to my convictions that I don't think that there is a sweet spot with 50-minute best of 3. I just don't really. I think there's just like a lot of the gamesmanship with time management and stuff like that kind of gives me the ick when I'm playing competitively, and it's not because I don't know how to do it. I do, of course. The entire time I've been playing, my era has been in 50-minute best of 3. I understand exactly how to do it, but it gives me the ick the ways that the clock gets manipulated, and I think by nature it is impossible to adequately police timing and slow play in the Pokemon TCG. There are not enough judges. It's not possible. So I think that Pokemon's kind of barking up the wrong tree, trying to like just change suggested time limits. I think it's not going to end up doing squat.
No, I mean,
kind of disagree.
I'm going to push
actually.
back.
I feel like
really.
So my take, JW, and I'm curious if you have the same one. There was basically no guidance before, and I actually don't know if it's much like top players were challenging people to call a judge as much as like the game kind of implicitly encouraged it, right? Like at the highest levels of play in the World's Finals and NAIC Finals, like you would see people doing this for multiple minutes. And so that was the precedent. It was like the legal precedent that was what you were allowed to do. Now that the precedent is that you can't do that, I don't think we'll see as much of that. Like, I don't think top players are going to go and like abuse newbies on this. I think it's more.
You don't think so?
They maximize the confines of what the game allowed them to do, and the game allowed them to do that 2-minute thing. It doesn't allow them to anymore.
Okay,
so I just don't think we're going to see quite the same scale.
I have a slightly different take.
I
do
think
they're
going to be out there gaming newbies for 90 seconds. You don't think they're going to do that?
I do think.
I mean, maybe on the same scale they game newbies in other ways, but like, I think the precedent, just the fact that it no longer exists, I think we'll see it pretty rapidly dissipate. I do, yeah.
Well, and what needs to happen is that it needs to be enforced on stream by stream judges. You need to be assigned a slow play warning.
Yes,
if
that's where I think the precedent's happening. But I think maybe broader than that. Like, in my opinion, a good solid game of Pokemon takes around 20 to 25 minutes, and so like that's just always going to be a construct that like limits our best of 3 success. I mean, yeah, you can fit 3 games in 50 minutes if you're like really hustling and scoop early. But like if you're playing back and forth games and seeing them all the way through, that's a 20-minute endeavor. I'm sorry, it just is. Like
it is. Yeah.
But the system isn't really designed to play 3 games. I think that's maybe a concession too that comes with this, is you're not really meant to play 3 games. You're meant to play 2 good games and like scoop a game a few minutes in to like get to the 3rd good game.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that the rule change is really important for this reason, to have codified a more strictly codified deck search time rules, and that's because I think players are going to police each other more. I think that this has brought this discussion. Yeah. This has brought this discussion back to the forefront of players' minds. So I think certainly at EUIC, like I'm expecting myself to be called out for a deck search or a turn 1 search or something like that. Taking an action, because I've gotten used to maybe a little bit more lax protocol in the past, and so I think that yes. Do we have enough judges to enforce these time rules? No. Can we fit adequate 3-game sets in 50 minutes? No. But I do think that players are going to police each other, and that's a huge benefit of having this kind of more codified time rules, because players are going to speak up. Right, it's going to be top of mind, and players are going to say, "Hey, you're taking too long. Could you make an action?" And they're going to feel much more justified doing that. With this.
It's like impossible to speak up when there's no rules.
Yes,
it's impossible.
It is.
So
advocating for yourself did just get a little easier. It did. Yeah, it did. Yeah.
There's also I believe this is new as well. Either way, it stuck out to me when I was reviewing the rules. They have the 5 seconds to like start your turn after the end of a previous turn, which I feel like that was a huge way to game the clock before, was to check your discard, check your opponent's discard, meander over what to promote, check your opponent's discard one more time, ask about their hand size, and then you promote, and then all of a sudden, oh my gosh, like
I didn't draw yet. Yeah.
So
exactly.
your turn.
Right.
I didn't draw yet, so your turn 0. You know, so I'm turn 1 in this situation. You know, like.
Yep.
I've seen that before. Like, and so I think some more strict expectations around that is nice too. And again, I don't know. I guess I don't know 100%. I'm pretty sure it's new. Maybe it's not, but I think it's in general we should all be mindful as players of what these like guidelines are and hold our opponents and ourselves accountable to meeting them.
The one thing I really dislike about the rule changes is the overtime clock being adjusted from 10 minutes to 15 minutes. I do understand that, you know, you're adding 2 turns. So it used to be a +1 10-minute clock, and then you're adding 2 turns. So adjusting that time limit is, you know, somewhat appropriate. But the fact that, you know, you think about day 1 having 8 to 9 rounds, you're adding the equivalent of another hour to the day 1 of the tournament. That was one of the big benefits I found from going to +1, is that you got out of the tournament hall at 7:30 ish, right? You could still have a dinner, you know, you could still go out for the night, where that wasn't the case before. So now, you know, you're looking at like an 8:39 exit from the tournament hall, and that, to me, yeah, is just kind of an unwelcome change from this new rule set.
I also feel like you could get away with still having 10 minutes for +3.
I think you could, yeah,
because the pace just grinds to a complete halt, and like that's not necessary. You know, you can just keep playing your turns and finish the game in a reasonable amount of time.
I'm saying, dude. Yeah, and I'm guilty of this too, right? It's like when you get to time, there's kind of like a relax, right? It's like everyone's like, okay, I'm going to take just a little bit extra time to like think through this play. And that was, you know, by and large, for all the time that we had +3, like I didn't care like if my opponent took an hour you know, to finish. I mean, I cared.
Okay, well.
Yeah, I cared in a sense, but it's like, yes, you have that kind of relax your play, just like, let's make the best plays that we can because we have much more time allotted for it. And so I think that's a big mistake. I do hope in the future they revert back to, I know it maybe doesn't seem like a big deal, but you know, you compound the +5 minutes over the course of an entire day of play, and yeah, you're losing an hour or so with that. So I do hope they revert back to, you know, +3 with a 10-minute overtime timer.
So here's an interesting thought that I just sprung up, because I had a very similar perspective as you in our last episode. Counterpoint, the stream game always takes way longer than the rest, and you're usually waiting 20 minutes anyway just for that game to finish. So maybe it actually doesn't impact the logistics at all.
You make a good point. You make a good point.
So just saying, because I had a very, very similar take as you, that the opportunity cost, and I actually went as far, I went on the extremist end of like that time to me isn't worth the extra turns of overtime, because I don't think the turns are that meaningful for the outcome of the tournament, which I stand by that take. But like that the turns I don't think are actually that meaningful for the outcome of the tournament. But actually I wonder if the logistical element of it ends up actually mattering, you know, because we'll still wait 5 more minutes for that stupid stream.
Yeah, sure. Interesting. Yeah, I guess I hadn't taken that into account. So you're saying that the overall time is not going to change. I guess I'll find out, right?
Yeah, we'll see. That is my like potential theory, or maybe it's like a few minutes longer because the first couple rounds often aren't streamed. But like as soon as the stream goes live, like that is more often the limiting factor. We wait for that game to finish and give them like 2 minutes to take a pee, and then we can start the next round.
Yeah, fascinating. I guess I hadn't thought of that.
I didn't either last week. That's why I didn't mention it in the last episode. But I'm thinking of it now.
And that's why it's always important to
in an
record
effort to
2
have a
episodes.
contrarian opinion to you,
Yeah.
I thought through it. Yeah.
That's funny.
So, I mean, all said, like, new guidance, +3 coming back. I think these are things to generally be excited about as a player in the grand scheme of things. Like, logistics to the side for a second. Like, the time guidance hopefully makes it easier to kind of police each other, like JW was saying. And also, I would love to see that precedent be established more on stream, too. Again, as a spectator and player alike, having that just be the standard seems best for everybody. I also think, hot take, I think there's an element of skill of like maximizing your prize checking with a limited amount of time. I actually don't think it's that skillful to spend a few minutes and just sift through every card of your deck and write them all down. I think it's more skillful in a way to work with limitations and map out the things that are most important to you within those limitations.
I agree.
Interesting.
The way that it kind of, I would say, morphed into is it was more of this like kind of chore that you had to do, and it was just like, do you do the chore or do you not, right? I actually very much prefer to just kind of like, buzz through my deck for 45 seconds, find the most important things, and then continue finding the pertinent information as I go, so that I can focus on the game and in the back and forth nature of the game between me and my opponent. It's just the game flows so much better when you don't have
Right.
players.
I mean,
minutes
I
at a
think in
time
the
for them.
absence of guidance, it was always inevitable that people were gonna spend
Of
that
course,
2 minutes
of
and map
course.
out all 6 because there's so much on the line. So knowing every single element of the game in front of you, it's almost like an implicit flaw with the prize card mechanic. To be honest, like prize card mechanic, I kind of doubt they would reinvent it in the same way if they made the Pokemon trading card game in 2026. It is what it is. But it was always inevitable that if there wasn't a strict rule, that people would try and map out all 6 when
I
there's tens of
know.
thousands of dollars on the line.
Yeah. So then it's like you got the guidance now, 45 seconds. Can that be in now? The next, I think it's good, a good update to the rules generally. Everything that was decided is a good update. I mean, 50+3 is certainly better than 50+1. I was a big critic of 50+1. I felt like that was going in like just the wrong direction. Like, why would you give us less time? Just like there's already not enough time. And then I think the unlimited deck search turn 1 to the 45-minute deck search or 45-second deck search. I mean, that's like good guidance. The question now is, with the new guidance on deck searches, does it get enforced? I mean, rules only matter so much as they are enforced. And that's my biggest beef with like the time system in the Pokemon TCG is that the rules are unenforceable. Slow play is unenforceable. It's an unenforceable thing on like a wide scale in the game. A 2,000 player tournament is not possible to adequately enforce slow play, I don't think, across that event. It certainly is not the more you scale. 5,000 player tournaments in Japan. Can you enforce slow play at those things? No, you cannot. That's why they do best of one. And they do, if you tie, that's a double game loss, homie. Yeah, so don't tie. And guess what? And it's like, it's built into the rules that like there's no incentive to play slow. So people don't. Right? So it's just, you gotta hustle, right? So that is something that I'll always admire about the Japanese tournaments. I know that people, obviously nothing's perfect, but in a way, I do love the idealistic sense that there's nobody is trying to game the clock, really, right? Because there's no incentive to. So that to me is wonderful. I wish that we had no incentive to game the clock in the West.
That's facts. JW, any closing remarks on rules and regulation?
Yeah, it's okay. Just get me out of there before dinner. That's all I ask.
Man needs his dinner.
It's tough, right? You fly in on Friday after work, and then Saturday, you go meet the homies at the convention center, and then what are you doing if you get out at 9? I mean, I've been to those tournaments, right? It's like, you don't have to tell me what happens when a tournament ends at 11 p.m. Like, I get it. I've been there. I've done that. But, you know, it's nice to like say, hey, we got, you know, reservations, or we're going to go out to the local taco place if Andrew's in the group that tournament. And yeah, you know, it's just fun, right? Grab a dinner with the boys. Everybody's there. So
I do feel like, you know, one of the things that's interesting about Pokemon is, unless you're adding like travel time outside of the days of the tournament, like you're staying an extra day before or after the event, like you can like give this impression of like, oh, I'm so traveled and like worldly and interesting.
Like, no.
But it's like really like
you're going
to
airport,
the city,
hotel,
you're going straight to the hall,
hotel, convention center, airport.
Yeah, right. Like there's very little time spent in the real world in this whole endeavor. You know that. Like, yeah, you're traveled. Like you've been on airplanes. It's like takes concerted effort to like experience the places you've been.
Yes, it does. Because
of how like all consuming the tournament days are.
Absolutely.
Generally speaking.
Absolutely.
So that's why I'm generally in favor of trying to reduce the amount of time spent in like day one, so you can go enjoy the place that you're at.
No, but that's the thing, right? It's like you can't like lessen the amount of rounds in day one. You need to have like 9 rounds. So I think timing wise, it's just about there. I think just with the overtime clock going to 15 minutes instead of 10. Maybe
yeah,
it won't
I mean
be
they
a
could
big
do
deal,
8 and 6. They could do 8 and 6 if they really wanted to.
Yeah, but 8 and 6 makes it kind of hard.
Longer.
Yeah, 8 and 6 makes it hard for people flying out, right?
Correct.
Yeah, well, okay, so then the other optimization that they have, the other lever that they could pull is they could do 8 and 6, but hear me out, have an optimized checkout line for prizes. That might actually work, where we're not like signing our name on a physical sheet of paper. Like let's leave that
the prize line. The prize line, yeah, that's their next problem to solve. I feel like they could also like progressively cut down more people potentially, like if you're out of contention, like just cut you where you are type of thing.
That's interesting. Yeah,
you know, maybe at round 11, you know.
Yeah.
It's just like,
yeah,
all right, we take your standing where you're at, and like the top 32 continue play, you know, something like that.
Sure. Yeah, that's interesting.
I don't know, like if we're talking about ways to trim down the logistics of the tournament.
Sure.
I'm not saying this is actually a good idea.
No, I just think they need to have like it shows up on your phone and you just show it to the, you know, the prize person, or they have like more stations set up, or they need to do it some way instead of like manually checking your name on a physical sheet of paper. It's absurd to me that we're still doing it that way, but I digress.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna keep yapping about this for sure. Every time we have to pick up prizes,
that's right.
It's gonna come up at the next podcast.
That's right. That's right. So,
well, folks, I think we covered pretty much everything there is to cover in the Toronto through Birmingham through lead up to EUIC World. Are there any other like words of wisdom you have to share to our beloved listeners for our mega ep?
Play good decks 2026. Let's go.
All right, yeah. We'll see if you can hold to that, Andrew. Playing
Back
good decks
on
is
that
kind of
locals
like
grind.
Playing good decks kind of
Practice
like
makes perfect.
Not an Andrew trait, I would say.
No, it's not. Yeah, practice makes perfect. I'm back on my locals. I'm gonna go to some. I've got some on the calendar. I'm gonna be at the locals.
Got them on the calendar,
game
folks.
is back.
That's crazy, man.
We'll see you when that day comes on the calendar where you're heading.
And I 1-2 drop a cup after spending hours there at $25. Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I feel like never again. Actually,
we'll see.
Booster boxes being worth $300. I'm so back, bro.
All right. JW, any parting wisdom from you?
Dude, I'm just really excited to play more Poke. I got this tournament and then one more this year, probably Houston. I'm just looking forward to it. Trying to close out the season. Strong. So
awesome stuff. Well, I agree. Play good decks and play your heart out, and leave nothing in the chair. Put it all on the table.
That's right.
So
that's right.
Thank you all so much for listening to the mega ep of Tag Team. We apologize for those weeks of technical difficulties, but I think this has been a fun one. I've enjoyed it through our ride through. Hopefully you have as well. If you're interested in getting more plugged in with the Tag Team ecosystem, hey, guess what? You can check us out on social media. We are on the Everything app, X. You can find us at Real John Walter for JW, at EnjoyFriend for Andrew, at Smiles with Riles for myself, and at Tag Team Pokemon for the podcast. Be sure to check us out on YouTube as well. We're growing there, and we'd love to have you if you're an audio listener. You get to see our beautiful visages as well as the beautiful visuals that JW keeps on the screen to pair with what we're talking about. Give us no matter where you are, though, give us a comment, and we'll be sure to consider it for the mailbag. And if you're glazing JW, he might just read it.
That's true. That's a big way to get in the mailbag segment for sure.
It's an easy hack.
You're rewarding the Glazers like crazy, bro, for sure.
No, I'm just reading the
Easy hack
you
to
guys
get in
see
the
it too,
mailbag.
right? You guys see it too. I mean, it's not just me. It's not just me.
You're seeing all those comments that I posted on my socks, right?
Yeah. That all said, we thank you so much for listening and for your ongoing support. And we'll catch you next time. Peace.